Good morning, everybody. Welcome here on this Saturday, November 3rd, 2018. Wait, let me tip my hat to you all. There you go. Notice well, I'll do this when the show actually starts. But it is the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. We've got a great show. We've got comedian Will Durst and a whole bunch of other stuff to do.
You just check to make sure that's everybody on top.
Yeah, let's just see if the whole world... Yeah, the whole world's watching. Look who's there. Hey! Welcome, Fred. So, you know what? We're already getting people. Let's start the music and begin the program called Dave's Gone By.
Good morning! Good morning! Good morning!
There goes the Daverhood.
And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
We got David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Tropical hot dog night! Like two flamingos in a fruit fight!
There goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to you all. Tip of the hat to you this fine pre-election morning. Notice that I've got the red, got the white, I've got the blue, and most importantly, I've got the brown of a brand new potato hunt. Weren't you excited when you saw this in the mail? No, come on. Tell me, when you saw the box come in the mail, the little package...
I wanted to kick it.
Why?
I wanted to kick it to alt.
You don't like our brand... He's one with these soft eyes. We get a lot of soft-eyed ones now, as opposed to the shell harder eyes, kind of the ones that these are made with, the Papitos are made with. See, let's get them on the screen there. So, but look how beautiful. And he's got the purple ribbon. So he's closer to the blue ribbon rather than the pink ribbons that the others have. He's nice and hefty. He's numbers. I don't know what actual number he is.
700.
Well, late 300s, I'm sure.
Look, you can see yourself there too. You look great. Wow.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
The potato's looking good on screen. Look at that.
And by the way, welcome to our great friend. Well, it's hard for me to say. Friend Fred from Friendy. So I hope you're doing really great. It's good to see you on this Saturday.
Tell him I emailed Wendy.
Yeah, our mutual, well, she's more than your friend, but...
She's a very good friend of friend.
Yeah. Yeah. So Joyce tried to email her, or did email her like a week or two ago, etc., and so forth. By the way, here's what we're doing on this episode of the program. This show that airs every Saturday from 9 until noon,
There's a time
or thereabouts.
delay.
Yeah, there's probably about a 10-second delay between here and there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, which is better than having a Tom delay? Even on this political day. I don't even know what that means.
Who's the guest? Fruit Pants?
The guest is going to be a very fun... Who's that?
Fruit Pants.
I don't know who Fruit Pants is. The guest is going to be a very, very funny satirist and comedian by the name of Will Durst. Oh, look, that's not Will Durst. That's Potato Dust. I don't know. What
Is Fred Durst, the guy in the band, his relative?
No, I don't know if he's related to Fred Durst from...
Stupid Pants.
What band was that?
Creepy Creepers?
Anybody know? If you want to email me or message me who Fred Durst was. And I don't know, we're going to ask probably whether he's in that crazy, the Durst murder family.
Oh, Robert Durst?
And the Durst Organization, which is this big old, yeah. But what we do know is that Will Durst was trained at the Groundlings, and then for a couple of decades now.
And then he went on to murder.
That's right.
First he was trained, then he went on to murder.
But he is going to be doing an off-Broadway one-man show called, you'll like this, well, you don't really like puns the way I do, so you may not like it, but Durst Case Scenario. Get it?
That's sad.
It's not sad. What do you mean it's sad? Durst Case Scenario is going to be coming off-Broadway, I believe, to the Playroom Theater from November 7th through the 18th. So you just have like about 2 weeks to catch him. But he plays mostly in the Bay Area. It's kind of a lucky thing if you're in the New York area to be able to see Will Durst. He's done TV. He's done tons of radio shows. He has his own blog. He has a column that he syndicates. You've heard of him, and if you've heard him, you know he's really, really funny. So be with us as Rabbi Saul Solomon the Great. We'll use this to represent Rabbi Saul. So every time we
Where's
mention
your
him...
stick figure?
Well, you want a stick figure, Rabbi Saul?
You had them.
It has to be short and circumcised, though. It's like part of a stick. Like no branch. I'm kidding. Anyway, so Rabbi Saul will be talking to Will Durst later in the program. And by the way, welcome to Eileen and welcome to Carol.
Do you think that's his real name?
What? William Durst? Why wouldn't it be? I mean, maybe it isn't. I could Google, but I imagine it is. Anyway, my real name is Dave Lefkowitz. Her name is Joyce. Your names are Fred and Eileen and Carol.
Are these my knees that you see on the film?
Yeah. See, those are...
Is that my knees?
Yeah. Unless those are tits, in which case, no.
They would be lumpy.
Well, they tend to be. Oh, ow, 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 ow. In a good way. Thank you. Thank you ever so much. Do you know what else is going to be on this episode of the show? We're going to be talking about Greeley crimes and old times, of course.
Yeah.
We'll also have story time, time for a brand new book. Now, last time, what were we doing? We were doing, we still have the book here. If you missed it, I feel sorry for you, because we had so much fun with My Sheriff. My Sheriff Goes Over Weather and Farm Safety, featuring Casey the Canine. If you missed it, go into our archives, because it's a splendid piece of literature, I tell you.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
But we're done. Well,
Is that stop, drop, and roll? Is that the...
Don't climb ladders near silos.
Yes.
There's a lot of good silo information in that.
And when they get out the taser, run for the hills.
That's true.
Taser is ouchie. That was the big one. Right?
Hey, by the way, welcome to Carol and Kathy and Paul and John and Joe. All our people are back. We're here.
Jill and Joe and all your funky friends.
We weren't here last week because I was in New York, and I'll talk about that and all the stuff I did when I was in Manny-Hattie. But we are, since I was talking about story time, oh boy.
Lord.
Oh boy. And what's funny is we were just watching this week.
Look what the name of the series is, On Our Way to English.
I'm an English professor here, or an adjunct professor. Here's a cute little, isn't that cute? That's not the name of the book. This is, what is it, Rigby. Can't read my glasses. Rigby, On Our Way to English. Except this has nothing to do with a sheep and llama's clothing, or whatever the hell that is. No, today, Feeding the Otters by Faye Robinson. We're going to feed them otters.
I got to read it myself.
Really? But we were watching this week on Animal Planet. They have a documentary about Steve Irwin. And
couldn't they get a better picture?
Yeah, for the front cover, right? Wouldn't you put a big, beautiful otter on the cover?
Even this is a better thing.
Yeah, and their food really looks kind of gross.
And someone stole it from Bella Romero Elementary.
Well, whether they stole it or whether this thing was remaindered.
Oh, this is Laszlo. He's the zookeeper.
Oh, Laszlo the zookeeper. Isn't that lovely? Yeah. And by the way, welcome to John and Joe and David and Joseph. So we got two Joes watching already. Do we learn anything interesting about Steve Irwin?
He was a freak.
Well, yeah. He seemed to be the same all the time. You thought he might have been manic, and we're just not seeing the ups and downs. Steve Irwin, of course, the crocodile hunter. They did a documentary about him, and just now, even before he was on the air, that was him. He's like, "Oh, right, here's something really dangerous. Let's jump on it." You know, it's like
I thought he had his wife.
True. Let's make things that could kill us and put it in a zoo and have everybody feed them. It's like, all right, yeah. He seemed great.
Learn that he got into it because his mom and dad rescued animals. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had the zoo already.
Yeah,
so he grew into
that I didn't know.
In a manner of speaking, he's kind of like Donald Trump. He took a business that was okay.
Yeah,
well, his father's business was doing better than okay. And built it into this empire.
He did the TV show, yeah. He forced his sister to videotape him.
Oh, you're talking about Irwin now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what Donald Trump did with it. No, I don't know. But he didn't force her. He used the cult of his personality, and he was a very likable guy.
I'm going to look up and see if he was manic.
Huh. I wonder.
I think he was.
Joyce is going to go see if Steve Irwin was...
Is it with an I?
Yeah, Irwin. Steve Irwin. Of the Crocodile Hunter.
Was Steve Irwin the Crocodile Hunter?
And I'll bet he played with otters, even though otters can be kind of, they're vicious. You know, they look really cute when they're on their backs and they're pounding and they're playing with a little ball, but if you're going to feed the otters, you're going to want to be careful. You're going to want to wear shorts that show ugly
stabbed
knees.
hundreds of times by a stingray.
You mean that one time that's what killed him? It was hundreds of times?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You told me he got jabbed.
Yeah, I thought he had one that just went through him.
I'm
But
gonna
that was the thing, a stingray, just one stingray?
Cameron witnessed the death.
Yeah.
It says it's hundreds of times. His final words were, "I'm dying." He was only 44.
Oh, my gosh.
He said he shot the video.
Well, yeah.
They left the boat on a raft, and they saw an 8-foot stingray.
Good Lord.
And the final shot was him swimming away.
Was it him or the ray swimming away?
Oh, he thought Irwin was a tiger shark, because the look of the.
Oh my God! I didn't realize a stingray could sting that many.
The guy said I had the camera on. I thought this was going to be a great shot, and all of a sudden, it popped up on its front and started striking.
Wow!
And then I panned away with the camera, and the stingray swam.
Yeah.
I didn't know it caused any damage. When I panned back, I saw the blood.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh well.
He said that.
He became crocodile bait.
No, the reports that that's the cameraman. The reports that he had a barb in his chest were wrong.
Oh! I didn't see that was.
They said
the
that
initial thing was
the
that
barb went through like a hot knife in butter because it's like a sharp barb.
Oh man.
He had a 2-inch wide injury over his heart with blood and fluid coming out of it.
Glad I'm having breakfast now.
Yeah.
Poor Steve. Poor Steve. It's a nice documentary though. If you get a chance to see it. And by the way, welcome to Joseph and Drew.
Look at this.
And Kathleen, who isn't the actress.
He has a son called Robert Clarence Irwin. You're right.
Yeah. And of course, Bindi, who is going to be the next Empress of the Empire. And oh my gosh, we have someone named Haviva. Ooh. Who has the either middle name or maiden name of a very famous playwright. You feel free to message and say, are you related to that famous playwright? I'd just be curious. Anyway, so we're doing a new Dave's Gone By. And we'll go inside Broadway, and we'll have Will Durst with the Rabbi. We have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned this week. Once again, we're going to Center, Colorado. Now, last time, 2 weeks ago, we did Centennial, Colorado, but there's actually a place called Center, Colorado. We'll have story time with the Otters and, of course, Dave's Big Dictionary. So if Joyce could do the honors, this is the time when Joyce will go through this happy little book.
They have Monica Lewinsky, Steve Irwin, Piper Perabo, Terry Irwin, Chandler, and Gwyneth Paltrow.
How did those all come up as famous people? I don't know either.
Look,
Joyce is looking on her cell phone.
I think one of them was on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, I think one of the Irwin girl was.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to go
Killed by a stingray.
For Dave's Big Dictionary. We go through, or Joyce goes through this book at complete random, 75,000 definitions in here. So her finger will land on a word, and then it's my job to think, and later in the show, come up with about 5 minutes or so to talk about that word.
Okay,
now it's my job to sneeze.
Want to hear the word?
What's the word?
Translation.
Ooh!
Ready?
Me likey.
An act,
Yeah.
process, or instance of translating. The process of forming a protein molecule from information in a messenger RNA.
Wow. Translation, that's a good word. Yeah, all right, I'm down with that. I forget what last week's was. Last week's, or 2 weeks ago's was really good. I just have to get a little pen here. I got to get that. So that I remember with my burgeoning Alzheimer's. Laugh if you will. Laugh if you will. Oh, hello. Hey!
Who is it?
It's Pee-Pee.
Oh, P!
Hello, P, and thank you. He blessed me. At first I thought, who's blessing me? Is like a priest or something. I realized I just sneezed.
Yes.
So, well, thank you, P.
Piero!
And thank you, Eileen. Look, and Reggie, by the way, welcome to join. And
This is the polite group.
Right.
Apparently people who get up early on a Saturday are more polite.
Yeah. I wonder what they'll do if I fart.
No.
They'll back away from the computer,
Yes.
basically, yeah.
The keyboards will melt.
Anyway.
They will perform some translation.
So what did you do while I was gone? I was away in New York for what was supposed to be 4 days and turned into 5.
Nothing.
Thank
I did
you,
nothing.
JetBlue. But
I have no life.
Well, you were. You taught.
Yeah.
And, actually, I was there when the day you taught. So what else did you met with people? Mm-hmm. You went out to a meal, do anything? Or you just sat in cobwebs waiting for me to return home?
That's right, I sat in mourning in deep samadhi waiting for you to come home.
Somebody, please come home.
Samadhi is the deep enlightened state.
No such thing. No such thing.
Not for you. Please don't do it. It's disgusting.
I have to sneeze. I've got mucus in me. I got the mucus in me. I got the mucus in me. I got the mucus in me.
It's not funny, and nobody wants to see it.
You mean that's... Did you say that's not funny?
Yes. Now you're drooling.
Sorry. Because some people love to boogie. I love to booger. Get it? That's sort of a nose joke.
You know, it looks like you're insane talking to nothing.
I am insane talking to nothing.
Okay.
Here we go. No, actually, we've got a bunch of listeners now. It's really cool. So welcome again to Dave's Gone By. So let me tell you about New York then. Since
look.
What?
Piero, we miss you.
We miss you too, P. Hope that you're well, and maybe I'll end up seeing you next year. We'll play tennis again, which would be.
You could play tennis with the geese.
Piero and I used to go out. It was we would play several times a year, but it was our thing.
Now I don't know, you might not be able to run after the ball.
Yeah, either of us. Yeah.
You might not be able to move. Piero, I'm going to have to play like Xbox tennis, I think.
Wii tennis. It's like,
even that's too much.
Bing! Oh.
Yes.
I wonder if you're playing Wii tennis and you get lazy and you don't run for the ball, your fingers just goes, you know. It's like, I'm going to dive for the net. No.
No more.
Yeah. No, but we used to have a great time. Piero and I would play at an outdoor court near where I was living with my folks, and we would go out in nice weather. But sometimes the best part, we would play no matter what.
Really?
On New Year's Day.
Well, even if it was snowing?
If there was snow on the ground.
Wow.
We would just go out there for like 20 minutes.
Wow.
We'd hit the ball, fall in the snow. We'd pick it up, we'd hit each other. It was a joyful thing. It was a way to celebrate the first day of the year by going out and doing something crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Look who's back.
Welcome, Ian. Ian's been in the Daverhood, by the way. And welcome Tatsuya and Stan. Yes, Stan's with us most. Staniel. Hello, Staniel. And Piero and Ian and all these cool people. But, yeah. So, I was speaking of, we used to play tennis in Grant Park, which is the place, the park right near where my parents live.
I'm watching the
which is where I was.
you. I'm watching the alternate you.
You're distracted by all these screens.
No, I'm distracted by the other you that goes faster and slower. It's like, whoa.
Well, because it's not...
I know,
it's a delay.
Out.
Yeah. So don't be freaked out. Attention here.
Oh,
to
God.
Me, to the live person in front of you. But I didn't get to see Grant Park again, even though I was
Why
like 2
not?
blocks away. Because I was doing other stuff. I was running to the city. I saw a bunch of shows. In fact, in Inside Broadway, I will review
How
one
many
of the
shows
Broadway
did
shows.
you see? 5?
I think 6.
Whoa.
6 while I was there.
Crazy.
I would, if I'd known my trip would have expanded, I would have booked another show or two. Because this is the joy of living in Greeley, Colorado. I'm supposed to come home Wednesday night. So I go see a matinee in the city.
We could have picked you up in the car.
Well, I want to ask a friend. At 1 o'clock in the morning. I would have been happy to. I would come home. I would talk the next day.
That's what friends are for. No, you wanted to be out and about.
No, I would have been very happy to come home that night.
Oh.
Because I was already on the way back to
Because you never checked
Kennedy.
your text messages.
Yeah. No, I checked it. I checked it before I got to the airport, thank goodness. I checked it when I was on the subway.
Right when you got out
when
of
I got out of the theater, yeah. But you
never checked
turn
your
off a
text
phone
messages.
when you're in the theater.
Yeah, but the first thing you do is check your phone. What happens if somebody kicked it?
So what happened was they JetBlue messages me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to tell me that my flight, which is supposed to leave at 8 o'clock at night out of Kennedy, is delayed to 9 o'clock. Now, that is not really a big deal. If you listen to Louis C.K.'s old bit about travel, if you still listen to Louis C.K., and this idea that the plane's going to be 45 minutes late, and it's like, hello, you're on a giant machine that's taking you 2,000 miles.
Yeah.
You're watching TV the whole time. You're getting beverages, and you're complaining. 200 years ago, people had to do covered wagons for 3 weeks.
We're also paying a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
To sit in a seat that's the size of
tell me
a
about it.
shoebox. I mean, don't forget those things.
But still, we get spoiled. We get pissed off. But the thing was, changing from an 8 o'clock liftoff to a 9 o'clock liftoff for me meant getting to Denver Airport 1 hour later.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to Denver Airport 1 hour later, because of the way Greeley is that you don't get home.
Well, you could have Ubered it.
For $100 and something.
Really?
One way.
You could have Ubered to Fort Collins and taken a shuttle there.
No. Super Shuttle doesn't go to Greeley.
So you could have taken the Super Shuttle to Fort Collins and then gotten an
Uber from the... Yeah, okay. And still would have been over $100, and it would have gotten me home at 4 in the morning. Why would I do that?
Because you're lazy.
I'm lazy. I don't want to go to sleep at 4 o'clock and wake up at 6 and then teach. What? So instead, I come out of the theater.
I'm watching David number 2.
Ew, that's disgusting. I hope I flush.
That no look. You're cute on the TV.
Why, thank you. So, here's the deal. And this is kind of cool. I'm coming out of the theater, and I'm walking down the street, heading toward, taking my last look around New York.
Do your cute thing again. That was cute.
Doing my last look around New York.
Do it again? No.
What?
Hostile cute.
And then, well, speaking of hostile, I hear somebody yelling, "Sir!" I'm like, what the hell? Like, and I'm walking, sir, because in New York, you don't know who the hell's going to be yelling at you. And then I realized, or he showed me, that my Metro card had fallen out of my pocket and was on the street.
Whoa.
And he was like, and I was like, oh, thank you. It turned out it was my old dead Metro card because I changed it over for a new one.
Know that.
But it was a very cool, nice New York moment.
And then you know what you did? Then you bear wrestled him and kicked him in the nads.
That's right. I took his wallet, raped his wife. She was amenable though.
Oh,
it was kind of cute.
You said it was just a
they had
man.
a baby though.
You said it was just a man.
No, he was traveling with his family. It was like a stroller and the wife and his everybody. But sir, your thing. And he points down and I grab it. Yeah. Even though I went right into the garbage later. I didn't show him that. That was a dead, empty Metro card.
That's a nice thing.
Yeah, it was very nice.
They must have been tourists.
And that's the moment I should have taken out my cell phone and turned it back on after. But I didn't.
Because you're so passive and that's karma.
I also don't expect...
Karma bit you in the butt.
To get messages. Karma. In fact, this was really great. This was fantastic. Remember in the old days when you would go, anyone would go out of town to another state or another country or something, and then you use your credit card and you forget. Suddenly the credit card would be like, hey, how come you're using this?
They text you.
800 miles from where you live.
They'll text you, yeah.
Suddenly, in the old days, you hand the credit card to the waiter. Wait, I'm sorry, this didn't go through. You think, oh, crap. And if you're lucky, you have a cell phone, you call
it says on the cell phone, it says, is this you, right?
Yeah. Now, I get this message of like, you just used your, was this you? Type Y for yes or no for no. Reply yes or something. I wrote yes. Boom. That's pretty wonderful.
So leave your phone on, Dingle.
I can't leave my phone on in a theater.
Yes,
you know why.
Yes, you can. You don't need to have sound. You never check it.
The buzzy thing. No.
It doesn't do buzzy thing. It's off completely, a ding-dong.
Anyway, I don't want to worry about it. I want to think about the phone accidentally going off. Yeah, well, if you worried about it, you wouldn't
have been on the shuttle going to Jamaica.
True. Well, that was the thing. I was on the subway going to Jamaica, and at that moment I thought, let me check my message, let me see if I got anything from you. And it didn't really even occur to me that the airline might text me something.
They always do.
Yeah. But they texted and suddenly it was like, oh, your flight, which was going to leave at 8, leaves at 9, which means that the last Greeley shuttle, and there's no more Super Shuttle in Greeley, Colorado. There's only Ubers. There's no the local cabs and stuff don't do it except for a huge amount of money. So I'm like, you know what, the hell with this. I literally got off at Jamaica.
David.
What? Well, welcome to David. Oh, David, my gosh, from high school.
I gotta run out 1 second. I'll be back.
So I'll talk to my people here, to my peeps. So, it's Halloween night, and the last thing I want to be is like stuck between places on Halloween, and yet I get off at Jamaica because at least that part of my head is thinking clearly. I mean, I've got my knapsack with all my travel stuff in it. I've traveled pretty light. And here's what I'm doing. I'm literally standing in a quiet area of Jamaica railroad station and subway station. I find, honestly, a quiet place. I couldn't believe it. Because I figure I've got a couple of options here. I can either try and make the plane to see if it's still going to be on time, if it's going to make up some time in the air. I can go home meaning my parents' home, from Jamaica down to Long Island, or I can go back into the city if I can grab a show last minute. But I call for a show, and they say, oh, no, not a lot of shows are playing because it's Halloween. I don't know, since when do Broadway shows take Halloween off? Christmas I've heard. Okay, I sort of get. And sometimes they double up on certain holidays. But what shows take Halloween off now? But this one did. The one that I thought, you know what, I should see this. The press agent was about to get me a ticket, and she said, oh, by the way, there's no show tonight. So that was out. And I'm on the phone with JetBlue, and I'm trying to rearrange, and kindly, they switched out my ticket without any other fees. And I went back home. I had a nice meal in the neighborhood, and literally the ridiculous part is they switched me out for a plane, the exact same plane, next night. So if there was a problem or an issue with that plane being late, I would have had the same problem. But JetBlue has only one direct flight, as far as I know, of going from Denver from JFK to Denver, and it leaves at 8 o'clock at night, New York time, gets in 9:45 Colorado time. If it's on time, you're great. If you miss it, you're screwed. But I made it. It was good. And also, I have a comment from someone. Eileen says, wait, Eileen, I'm going to wait until she comes back. She's off doing probably the proverbial number 2. But once she is back, I will give her your comment. But welcome, by the way, David, and to our friend of the Daverhood, Raymond, who was just on the show a couple of weeks ago. You picked a really great day to be tuning back into the Dave's Gone By Facebook program of the stream, hosted by me, Dave Lefkowitz. Remember, you can find out more information about the show and see our archives at davesgoneby.com. That's davesgoneby.com. You can drop me an email, davesgoneby@aol.com, or, of course, message me here during the program, which is great because I can read them on the air sometimes, or all week long. The Facebook page, tell your friends, tell your enemies, is Radio Dave Lefkowitz. Radio Dave Lefkowitz. And we even have a Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2. It's Radio Dave and the number 2. Behold, we have a message here from Eileen. Eileen says, it does buzz in the theater. Hopefully she's not talking about her vibrator. It says the one who now turns off her phone in theaters. See, it does. If Donald Trump did that message to everybody...
Silence. No, that mine doesn't buzz. Ask Stan. Stan complains my phone is old. Maybe that's why.
Yeah. But anyway, and welcome back, Piero, who tuned back in.
What happened? Where'd Piero go?
I don't know. He probably went off to do a number 2 or something. I don't know. He turned off the computer. He came back. But welcome back. Let's see. What else can we do? What else do I want to talk about? So I was telling them that moment, that fulcrum moment on Wednesday late afternoon on Halloween of deciding what I was going to do when I was in Jamaica, right? I got off the train at Jamaica. I could either go back to New York on the plane, back to JFK, or down back to my folks. So I chose to go back to because there was no show to see, and I knew the plane would be too late for me to get a lift. What am I?
He's dying, yeah.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be because it has a lot of battery. Maybe there's too much info on it. Anyway.
Information overload.
So, but I did see, speaking of number 2, I did get to go see the most disgusting bathroom in all of New York.
In Jamaica Station?
Jamaica, the Long Island Railroad ticket station area. I think that one's going to be kind of full. Yeah. Well, because what'll happen is I hope it's that one.
Give me your phone. You record on your phone.
Yeah, I got recording on here and on there too. You go in.
Was it filled with doo-doo?
Well, it wasn't. See, it isn't like some bathrooms that I've been into.
You went to Kohl's with the poop spray?
Yeah, that was a clean bathroom that somebody befouled temporarily. And you can tell the difference. You can tell that is a clean, well-kept bathroom that one person had a bad morning. One person had clams the night before, and now it's just like splatter, platter, Kandinsky on everywhere. But it's still a clean bathroom. You just avoid that stall.
Okay.
And then I've been to bathrooms. I mean, I remember going to eat in Chinatown, and they have bathrooms downstairs. You have a basement, and there would literally be like slime on the bathroom floor.
David,
The bathrooms weren't terrible, but they were sort of slimy as you walked around, and you knew God knows what mix of chemical and stuff that was, and human stuff. Nah. And I've been to the Port Authority men's rooms. And I've been to the Port Authority women's rooms and was thrown out.
Not that bad now.
Yeah, that's the point. But this one bathroom in Jamaica Station, right, in the place where you go get your the ticket area. And the thing about it is, and I guess this is the reason, it's quite small. It's got one urinal and 2 stalls. That's it. For like a station
Hundreds
bathroom.
of people, yeah.
In Jamaica. When I say Jamaica, it's Jamaica, Queens.
It was
right?
probably built way before they built the volume. There's bigger bathrooms.
Yeah, you can go elsewhere. But I was there. You know, I was using the machine. I was looking for a quiet place to be on the phone. And then I'm like, oh, there's a men's room. Let me use it. And I go in. And maybe because it's so small, the smell of that... I mean, you talk about...
Was it doo-doo smell?
No. Doo-doo is not bad. It's layers of ancient urine. The smell of old pee
urine.
And new pee and newer pee.
That's beautiful.
No, it's not beautiful at all. You literally go in there and you're like, oh my God. See, even... It's a smell that you would get, and still get, I guess, in the summertime on a subway platform if you go all the way towards the end where the bums pee.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the subway's so big and open.
I believe we call those hobos now.
Hobo. The hobo pee area of your basic subway
urban
platform.
hobo.
Yeah. But no, because it's enclosed. Because it's something the size of a New York apartment living room, this bathroom, that it's all trapped in there.
So there's no vent or anything?
There's no vent.
That's why.
And so they've got the stench.
It's like a pee palace.
Yeah. There's a guy there, and then there's one guy in one of the thank goodness, in one of the closed stalls. And I don't know what he was doing in there, but he was just like, and he wasn't taking it. I don't know what he was, just crazy and smelly and horrible. I'm telling you.
How do you know he wasn't just having it? Maybe it was like a ridiculousness.
Because it wasn't knees. You didn't see like feet.
Was he standing?
It looked like he was standing facing away or facing toward or moving
maybe he was
around.
Vomiting.
Maybe.
That sounds like vomit.
This was the worst bathroom in all of America. So he was like,
that's nausea.
Maybe.
That's nausea.
Yeah. He was probably fine before he walked into the bathroom.
He was the ticket taker. He's like, oh God, I shouldn't have drank the big gulp. I shouldn't have gone to Dunkin' Donuts and had the big gulp.
Oh man, I got out of there. I mean, I went, but I was out of there like a shot. So, what a beautiful New York story that is, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and Eileen says, is Eau de Jamaica, only $10.99 in fine stores everywhere this Christmas.
Oh, wow.
If they could bottle that, and what would they do?
I like it. I like the grunge.
I threatened the Saudi embassy with it.
But I miss the grunge. That's the thing, like...
No, you won't miss that.
I miss the translation. I miss the languages. I miss the diversity. I miss the people. I miss the hustle. I miss the game.
Oh, I don't know. I
miss the game. Here, there's no game.
I get on the plane the next evening, right, on Thursday evening, to get back home, finally, right? And I sit, and first of all, it sucked because it was going to suck, actually. Mm-hmm. The night before, I had an aisle seat, so I had room. But when they changed me over, all they had was a middle seat.
Of course.
But then, somebody like transferred out or whatever. I was going to have like an arm free because somebody transferred out of the seat. I was like, yeah, great.
Maybe because you still have the bathroom smell.
That could be it. And then, but this girl across from me says, "Oh, please, do you mind if I trade with you?"
Of course, and you're just a big pushover.
Well, it's a lady. She was on the aisle, so I got her aisle seat anyway.
Nice.
She was complaining because the seat cushion was a problem for her. It was coming up off the seat. I didn't notice anything, but
maybe her butt was uneven. Bigger
lady, so the seat was uncomfortable. Do you mind if I change? Yeah, I mean, I'll fit on that, no problem. So we change over, and of course I have aisle room, which is fabulous, but I'm next to some South Asian man who is a little guy, but falls asleep instantly, and his legs are wider Madonna taking on an orgy does not spread her legs this wide.
Men do it. You're supposed to get
he's
water.
asleep while it's happening.
You're supposed to get water and pour it on them. That's what they do on the subway.
No! The guy's asleep!
Spreading. Just tap him.
I tapped him. This other girl, her problem, the girl by the window.
Oh, no.
This guy,
Did she have
he fall over and like... And I'm trying to watch...
Listen, I did that with the guy. There was this huge guy.
I'm sure the guy didn't mind.
No, the guy was like a Belmuth. He was gigantic.
Yeah.
And so he was telling me this story. He's a ski instructor at Winter Park. So he's telling me, it's a night flight. And I wake up and we're both like cuddled side to side.
That's so sweet.
I don't think so.
Did anything more happen?
No, we were just sleeping like that.
No, but okay. Yeah. She did not like it. She did not like this middle-aged Indian man who's like, ugh. And soon they're fighting.
No, really?
She's fighting. He's passive. She's like yelling at him. Don't put your egg on me one more time. I'm like, oh, God damn it.
Because think about it.
Because in this Me Too era...
I don't want people touching me. Me and Winter Parkman had a...
But he was asleep. He didn't do it intentionally.
Yeah, but then if you know that you're a sloppy, messy sleeper, then you get the window seat and you lean against the window.
Right, fine.
Because if you lean in the aisle, those flight attendants are going to kick you in the head with
But she's like turning it into almost a Me Too incident. It's like the guy just sleeps that way. Push him.
It's disgusting because you don't want people sleeping. I don't want people
I don't want people sleeping on me. So I just like... Tappy tap. I tapped his leg.
Unless it's consensual.
Yeah.
Like me and Mr. Winter Park.
Yeah. I mean, did I complain?
And you know what he did at the end then? I couldn't reach my bag. He got my bag for me.
Oh, that guy. That's nice. Yeah. No, the Indian guy, he took his dick out and started whacking on my leg. But no.
The best thing was when I had migraine, we were going to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Or was it just me? Were you with me?
Depends on the New Orleans trip.
Do you remember the pastor? No. I'm going to New Orleans and I get migraines. So
I wasn't there.
The pastor thinks I'm deathly afraid of flying, and I said no. I said I'm not deathly afraid of flying. I have a migraine and the plane's super light and it's hurting my eyes and I'm having aura. And he said, that young gentleman is the flight attendant and he's flirting with the man over there. He said, I will get his attention. So he yells in his pastor voice. Now he's like probably 20 seats ahead. He says, Sir!
Whoa.
Get this young woman water! She has a migraine! Stop consorting with passengers!
Is that what he said?
Something like that, like in a minister.
My!
He was like, this is not the time to be, lollygagging. He's like, and then the guy came over and brought me like a 2-liter bottle of water. And I was like, thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
But he had that voice of like, sir! Like
Moses down from the mountain.
Like, I was like, oh my God. And people were like, a little fake clapping and giving thumbs up and stuff. Because they're like, your job as the flight attendant is not to like...
Well, you can flirt as long as somebody else is...
you're not supposed to flirt while people are suffering. And I didn't say anything, but Pastor helped me.
Yeah. No,
he helped me.
Good.
Yeah. It was a good flight. I was hydrated.
See, you take a flight. You're a pretty girl. You sit next to some guys. Oh, yeah, sleep on my shoulder. Sure. The pastor's like, oh, get us some water. It's like, but me, like, I get the Indian man who's like,
yeah, but you weren't trapped like the girl.
Man. Anyway. Welcome to the Dave's Gone By Facebook. Anything else you want to talk about in New York? We have to get to Greeley
Where
again.
could you get a Rolex for $40, but in New York? That's true, Piero.
That is true. Let's see. I talked about the most disgusting men's room check. Speaking of South Asians...
Do it in translation.
Speaking of the South Asians...
No, in Spanish, do it.
Why would I do it?
Translation.
¿Cómo se dice cuarto de baño? Muy...
Sucio?
Sucio, good, dirty. How do you say disgusting?
Y disgustedade.
That's right. Vomitarme. So, and we talked about transit, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but yeah, speaking of South Asians in a good way, for the first time, has to be in about 20 years, I had dinner in Little India. Remember Little India?
So my mama used to love me, Madras Mahal or Mahas Madral.
That was not Little India, though.
I know, but she was such a good... She made me the dosa and the vegetarian stuff. It was freaking delicious.
Yeah. For people who don't know, because we really don't have that anywhere else much except New York and maybe really big cities.
Yeah.
Most people, they go to an Indian restaurant, it's this mix of curries and tandoori's,
It's
a lot
all
of meat.
over India. It's like Punjab. It's mixture of all of
Yeah, and there's a little bit of vegetarian. Shag paneer is like spinach and cheese, and some cauliflower things, and okra. And I don't even know if they do broccoli things. Do they?
No.
But there's a southern Indian. Is it? Southern Indian cuisine is very different and is very vegetarian.
The dosa, a lot of like carbs. It's so delicious,
Oh, it's
and the
good.
woman used to make such good stuff in that little area. Like, I
But
guess
no, that's up on the 20s and east, I think.
Gramercy Park or West. Or
Whereas when I was at NYU, probably 2 or 3 times a month, I would go to East 6th Street between 1st and 2nd and 3rd Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
And one after
You're
another
making
after
me
another.
so jealous.
Well, except there weren't really a lot of veg. It was the typical northern Indian cuisine that we're used to. But the thing about Little India, like everything else, like Little Italy used to have 1,500 restaurants.
Yeah,
and
now
Little India is like Indian restaurant, Korean restaurant, bistro, Indian restaurant.
It's like Restaurant Row, probably.
Yeah. Not quite. I still can get like half a dozen Indian places.
You said you ate really well.
It was a place called Cinnamon something. I didn't even know they knew cinnamon in India. But
cinnamon is used a lot, yeah.
It was very good. But the way times have changed, there was one restaurant that was there when I was going to NYU 30-something years ago, still there.
Excellent.
And I used to go there, not because the food that was that great or the prices were, but part of the atmosphere is they have a guy sitting up front playing the sitar while you were eating.
Yeah.
And they did. They had, I passed by the window, and there's a guy sitting in the thing. You can't hear it from outside, but you see him.
Was it Krishna Das?
No, that was the problem. It was some friggin' white college kid with fucked up, like, spray-painted hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I want to go into a place and listen to a sitar, I want, like, the guy sitting next to me on the airplane.
It's not going to happen. He would have done it, but the girl probably maced him.
The reason he had his leg spray, that's exercises for holding the sitar while he plays it. Dun, 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 because the tuning goes on for 20 minutes.
That's sad.
So I didn't go into that one, but I made a good choice.
The times there. You know what I used to like?
What?
So Debbie and I used to go, and Nihal too sometime, we used to go to Little Italy, and there was one place that had beautiful desserts. It was right near where you used to live, where your apartment was.
Carmine?
Yeah, around Carmine. And we used to get like coffee. I used to get like a cappuccino and like a little dessert. It was so good. And then...
Well, Cafe Figaro, was it?
No, I don't know the name. And then there was one that Nihal liked. We used to always go there, and they had a bakery in front.
Yeah.
But that's just 2 separate
That was
ones.
down 2nd Avenue, I think.
Oh my God, there was such good...
Yeah.
Nihal would know. She used to say, Nihal, because her dad... They lived in the city. She knew all the good places.
Yeah.
She was very smart.
Oh, but everybody... That wasn't a place that was a little hole in the wall. No. Everybody knew that place.
And I used to love to go to, when they had the festivals in Little Italy, like the Saints festivals. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I miss that. I hope we can go back and do it.
But as I said, Little Italy is probably half a block.
I know. I looked to see my haircut. Remember Dop? Anthony's gone.
Oh.
But Joe is still there.
Now, was that in the city or was that on Long Island?
No, that was on, near Wooster Group, same block as Wooster.
Oh, Dop Salon.
Yeah.
But things change. What can I tell you? All right. So many talking things about New York. Last thing I want to say, and then we'll get to Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Okay. But I will say this. I'm usually not a fan of kind of the chain little breakfasty sit-down places. I would rather go either to a real restaurant or have breakfast at home and then have a lunch or a dinner somewhere at someplace interesting or ethnic or something like that. So, if I pass all these Starbucks, let's say, or whatever other places, used to like Au Bon Pain.
I love Au Bon Pain. Oh my God, Au Bon Pain, that little good bread.
And what's the place even here in where you get the soup?
Panera?
Panera. I mean, places like that.
I call it Pantera.
I don't like them generally. I'd rather get food elsewhere. And Starbucks is better. $4 for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, but you know what I like? We get the cards from Discover. Yeah. So one conference, Natalie and I, it was an expensive locale. I was like, Nat, for breakfast, every day Starbucks. And I'd get a coffee or tea. We'd have bagels in the room. We went to a pan quotidian, the organic. So we'd have that. No, that was gorgeous.
Oh, okay.
And you'd have like a jelly or marmalade on a bagel. We'd get a coffee. We snacked and lived off of that Starbucks card.
Well, I gotta tell you, usually I don't like these places.
Yeah.
The atmosphere's not for me, and it is sort of like, why am I paying? I used to remember when I worked granted, 15, 20 years ago in New
1902.
York. And I go to the office, I could go to a food cart and get a cup of coffee with cream and sugar and a donut or a bagel for $1 or $1.25.
Now it's probably $5.
Yeah, well, it certainly is going to be. It's going to be $7 in Starbucks for the two of those things, right? So usually, no, but when I first come to New York on my trip, and I fly in, I leave Denver late Friday night to get in Saturday morning to go to a conference. So that plane's on time.
Good.
I get into JFK about 5:30, and I make it to Midtown Manhattan, even with a subway. It's like 6:45.
Where do you go?
Well, I need to get to Midtown because my conference is right across the street from Penn Station.
You could have ate in Penn Station.
That was it. Well, I went, and it was raining too. It was miserable, rainy weather.
So
I was coming into a nor'easter, for gosh sakes. I thought I wouldn't even get to New York because, they warned, snow, rain, nor'easter, frogs falling from the skies, chimpanzees throwing things. But no, it was raining. It was annoying. And the world was tohu vavohu. There it is. Yeah. So I'm like, what the hell do I do? Because my conference got to be there by 9, and it's 6:45. So I'm not going to go visit a friend. What am I going to do? And it's pouring.
Go back to Jamaica and use the bathroom.
No, across the street from Penn is this place called Prêt à Manger.
What does it mean?
Something about eating.
Okay.
Prêt is ready to eat. It probably means ready to eat. Like prêt à porter is ready to wear. Yeah. So I go across the street, and I go in there. And
is it a sit down?
There's tables.
Okay.
So I asked I get a coffee because normally I won't order a coffee. I'm going to get coffee at the conference. They give you free coffee. And Jewish person that I am, why am I going to buy a cup of coffee if I'm going to get free coffee in an hour and a half? But it was cold. It was rainy. So I get a cup of coffee and an almond croissant.
Wow.
A Wi-Fi password. I sit down. I plug into a little machine, my machine into the thing, and for about 2 hours, I had breakfast, I worked, I was dry out of the rain, I was a block from my conference.
Awesome.
And I was like, you know what? And later on, another time, I had time to kill, as it were, between two things, and there was a Starbucks. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to sit in this bloody Starbucks for an hour and a half, instead of walking around, instead of trying to figure out something else to do. I did some work there. I was working on something. I could have even gotten a regular cup of coffee, like a $2 cup. But I'm like, let me have a white chocolate mocha.
Natalie and I do it in Panera. When we used to study, we'd use the Wi-Fi. Should bring the kids. The kids could have a snack or cookie or something, and we'd work on a writing group. Like when we go back, we're trying to find places for the writing group.
Yeah. But you know what? For me, to walk in and pay $4 for $5 for a sweet coffee, it was like ridiculous. But to walk in, have a place where you could sit, relax, get Wi-Fi, and work for $5 and stay there for 2 hours comfortably. I've got to say, Starbucks and Prêt à Manger came in really, really handy and were really lucky places to find in New York. So I've changed on some level my thinking about these places. I'm all for them. What dear?
No, my
your Fitbit is talking to you.
Me.
Yeah. So anyway, doesn't mean I will never make fun of Starbucks again. I will, but it was there for me, and I liked. What?
I can't wait to get back to the city.
Well, we have Starbucks here.
I can't wait to get back to the city.
But anywho,
Civilization.
Nothing can be more civilized than the days gone by world, the Daverhood, where all these fine folks are, where you're joining me on this Saturday, November 3rd, 2018. But we're not in New York right now. Well, I'm back. You're back in Greeley, Colorado.
I didn't go anywhere.
That's true. We're both in this happy little town of Greeley, where we both live and work. And so one of the things that we like to do is that there is a column in our local newspaper, 2 columns actually, our Greeley Tribune, devoted to the interesting and eccentric ongoings of our town. One of them has to do with phone calls that come into the Greeley and Weld County Police Department and all the strange people who phone our police, and also our friend Mike Peters, who works at the Tribune. He goes through the newspapers there. 100 years ago, in what was then the Greeley Tribune-Republican, and he pulls out some of the funniest, weirdest, goofiest, nostalgic things.
I like that they call everybody by their full name in the paper.
Oh, so-and-so, not
They
a
don't
suspect.
Say, they say like, not somebody called Greeley police. It would be like, David called Greeley police on Friday.
Otis Varham called Yeah, it was a bad week for Jeremiah Flugelhorp.
Yeah, I think it's so weird they do that.
Well, you want a little bit of that weirdness? Stay tuned right now, because we're doing a segment called Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Greeley Crimes and Old Times, ladies and gentlemen. We do it every week here as part of the Dave's Gone By program. See, Potato's happy now. This is Papito. He's our child. He loves Greeley Crimes and Old Times, because this used to be potato country.
That's true.
Before we were sugar beets and now fracking, our main crop was taters.
Wow, that's true.
But here we go.
What was the baseball team called? The Spuds?
Yes. Yes. I wish we were. You know, our football team, the Bears, is playing this afternoon over at Nottingham. They actually won their last 2 games.
Don't we have a race going on, too?
The human race.
No, remember around...
Yeah, no, they're saying there's some kind of race today. And I think yesterday in New York was a marathon of bicyclers or runners or something like that, or 2 days ago. Anyway, are you ready for Greeley Crimes and Old Times?
Yeah. Can I put my sneakers on while we do it?
Go ahead. Do your footwear. So here's the deal. I'm going to read items.
Will you bring these shoes when we go to Mike?
Put them in or near one of my bags.
Okay.
Yeah, put them in the blue bag, and I'll have them with me.
Oh.
You ready?
Yeah.
Police responded to 19th...
Wait.
Oh, there we are. Police responded to 19th Avenue and 11th Street for a report of a suspicious loaf of bread in a house.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. Well,
what was the bread doing?
The homeowner did not know how it got there. Have you ever walked home, come into a house, and seen a loaf?
I would love it. I mean, usually people would take stuff. Why would they come in and leave you groceries? Maybe it was like a drone. Maybe a drone did it.
I don't know. Maybe it was just a half-baked idea. That's my wry humor for you. I'm just trying to get a rise out of you. To say the least. Oh, I loaf bread puns. I just loaf them. Get it?
No.
Why are you being so crusty? Ow! I'm not hitting! Hey!
I'm hitting you with my sock.
I'm just demonstrating the Pika principle.
What is that? What's the Pika?
Pika principle. Isn't that when things go wrong?
Oh, Peter principle.
Yeah, get it. That's
No, you're not
comedy right there.
Really?
Yeah?
Yeah, you're a lot of practice, huh?
Oh, okay. Oh, boy. Wow, we actually lost 2 viewers during the telling of those puns. Oh, I guess you're sneaking up on us. Don't hit me with your shoe. Police responded to a...
David, you have no soul.
Oh. Police responded to a skewel.
What's a skewel?
It's a place where children loin on 35th Avenue.
Yeah?
Where a student put sleeping pills into a cookie and gave it to another student.
Why are they doing that? Remember the one you told me?
Yeah, the ashes of the dead.
Why would you put sleeping pills? Where do you get sleeping pills?
From Mommy and Daddy's cabinet is where they have the Ambien or whatever that. Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. And the child was actually known to sing right after that. C is for sleepy is good enough for me.
No, S is for sleepy.
Yeah, but you get it. Let's see. Oh.
Wow.
Following the new, this is hilarious, I love this. Following the brand new daylight savings time rule.
Oh, it's Sunday, tell people.
Yeah, you're supposed to turn your clock back 1 hour at 1 a.m.
On Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
For us, yeah. This is 100 years ago, when this was literally a new thing.
When do we change it tomorrow?
Tonight is Saturday, right? Tonight, when we go to sleep, we're going to take the clock back. But here's the great thing. This was such a new idea, and people were so confused about it.
I'm still confused about it.
The Tribune wrote, you're supposed to turn the clock back at 1 a.m. If you won't be up at that time, it's all right to turn back your clocks before you go to bed.
I like that. Well, that's helpful. I like that.
It's like, I have to be there at 1 o'clock to do it right in this second.
Maybe people think if it's new, they have to. I think that's great.
That amuses me no
It's a good
end.
show. I like that.
Hey, only
What?
2 boys were arrested on Halloween night.
Wait.
Oh, yeah. Oh, where's the spooky one? We got all the spooky, the Halloween scary ones, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Only, however, 2 boys were arrested on Halloween night. Both age 17. The boys were driving a Ford Auto
Oh boy.
and pulling a stolen horse buggy behind it.
The hijinks.
Yeah, the boys were each fined $5 by a city judge, and the boys said they think the fun they had was worth the $5 fine.
Wow.
I want to steal a horse, an auto, and a buggy.
It's like the Amish. When Amish go wild, you know.
Also on Halloween, a stolen wagon was released down a steep hill. It crashed into a tree, damaging the wagon. Also, many windows were soaked, street signs were stolen, outhouses were knocked over, ash pits overturned, and fences torn down. But thanks to the watchfulness of police and volunteers, it was the quietest Halloween in Greeley for many years.
Really? That doesn't sound quiet.
That's wonderful. To go and overturn outhouses,
That's nasty.
especially if someone's in them.
Why didn't they tip a cow?
And they still smell better than the men's room.
Wait here. Wait, where's the...
Well, I'll tell you, that is interesting to me. Because when I was little, Halloween was just about little kids going door to door trick-or-treating. And then when I got into my 20s, 30s, 40s, it suddenly became about teenagers acting creepy, getting laid on Halloween, people doing bad things, really scary movies and crap. It's just the whole age demographic of Halloween shifted a great deal to the point where little children were afraid to trick or treat, and then like teenagers would just go around and cause trouble. It's weird to learn that 100 years ago, Halloween night was a night of troublemaking for older kids. Never occurred to me that the more things change, the more they stay the same. Anyway, police responded to 9th Avenue for a woman tapping on her neighbor's window. That's interesting tapping she's doing. The caller said the woman was a tenant in the same building and she had locked herself out.
Okay.
When asked why she didn't let the woman in, the caller said the woman had threatened to smash her windows in the past. Yeah, good fences make good neighbors.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. Greeley police also responded to a laundromat
Oh no.
on 9th Street
Okay.
for a man yelling at people with his wiener hanging out.
If he brings his dachshund, why is that a problem?
I know, right?
Why is that a problem?
They don't like dogs.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
That's not nice.
Okay, let's do another old-timey one. Oh,
I gotta take my knees down. They're too much in the shot.
most appropriate for this coming week.
Yeah.
Political ads just a few days before the election
Oh, wow.
of 1918. Republicans. This is their motto. Be safe. Vote for every Republican candidate. Weld County Republican candidates are clean and capable.
Ooh.
Democrats, they said, the Democratic candidates have made a clean, constructive campaign free of abuse and sneering insinuation.
Wow.
More things change, more they remain the same. By the way, speaking of time changes, it is now 10 o'clock
Look who
in the morning,
you.
Mountain Time, here in Greeley, Colorado, on the
APS.
Dave's Gone By Facebook program of the stream. It is November 3rd, 2018. We are here live from my office in Greeley, Colorado. I want to say a big shout out to Piero and Fred and Eileen and all the cool people who've been tuning in, including Art Paul. Art Paul, we missed you. Here you are. He's got a YouTube link. I assume that is to a new song of his because he's always got a new piece of music going
look
on.
who's coming in.
Oh, and Marcus. Hey, Marcus will recognize this room. This is someone who is also a UNC person. Well, good morning, Marcus. We're in the middle of Greeley Crimes and Old Times, where we're talking about the things that are happening in Greeley, according to our Greeley Tribune newspaper. So, let's get back to some news stuff. Greeley police responded to a motel on 1st Street and 8th Avenue for a man with a mohawk that, quote, wasn't a mohawk anymore, punching the air and talking to himself.
Oh.
I think he's probably a Colorado voter.
Look what Art Paul wrote.
Art Paul is, remember Republic... Yeah, remember Art Paul is telling fellow Republicans vote on Wednesday. Yeah, well, that's funny.
Yes.
I just got that.
Yes.
I was about
Think
to make
about it.
Thank
Think
you, Art
about
Paul.
it.
Yeah, right. All Republicans, remember, this Wednesday, November 7th, very important for
Art
you to
Paul
cast
is
your
very-
vote.
Art Paul, you're very slick.
That's
I like
brilliant.
It.
Yeah. And Art Paul actually wrote a song called "Vote for Me, It's a Joke" that we played on this program a few years ago.
Let's write in Art Paul.
Yeah, Art Paul Schlosser for president, man.
You call him Sloshy?
Yeah. Cheeseheads all the way.
Cheeseheads.
Let's see. A Greeley woman called Warren Air Force Base
What?
in Cheyenne
What?
to complain that Greeley police officers were not taking her reports seriously.
Why would you call an Air Force base?
Well, if your local police
Yeah,
department...
but why would you call an Air Force
No.
base? She should have called Little America in Wyoming. They would have had her on the line for 6 hours.
That's right. Well, police called the woman and explained why her numerous reports were unfounded. And when they asked her not to call Warren Air Force Base again, the woman responded, "Well, it got your attention, didn't it?"
Whoa, see, negative reinforcement, not good. She's
Well,
gonna...
meaning what? She should have or shouldn't
Yeah,
have?
no, that when they called her after she called them, she's going to call the Air Force Base because she
yeah.
sees it works. Not good.
The girl who cried Warren Air
Why
Force
would
Base
you call
wolf.
an
I
Air
don't know.
Force Base? I don't understand how that even...
Let's move elsewhere. Since I was in New York earlier in the week, well, actually just 2 days ago, let's look at humoricisms elsewhere in the world. For example, New York City, where, hey, big shock, did you know Alec Baldwin has a temper?
No. The whole Baldwin family needs to go back to America, wherever they're from. They're from the island. They're from Limerick.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all from, like, Long Island. They all need to go back on the LIRR. It's
But
Long
one
Island.
of them is a Jesus freak. He's okay.
They need to all go back.
Yeah.
They need to go back, and they need to be in anger management.
Well, yeah. Would you hear about this?
No.
Alec Baldwin was arrested
God.
and charged with assault and harassment on Friday over a parking spot.
Yeah.
He's denying that he punched the guy, but a 49-year-old man sustained an injury to the left jaw
Ugh.
after he was punched by Alec Baldwin on 10th Street. And Donald Trump said about Baldwin, "I wish him luck."
Can I tell you something? If we had a nickel for everybody who was punched by Alec Baldwin, we'd be wealthy. That whole family needs to go to, like... Remember when I did the classes for the men who were abusive to women and women who were abusive in the domestic violence hotline thing?
Yeah.
They all need to get some anger management.
I'm sure he was forced to a while back. I mean, maybe after the
And
divorce
again now,
proceedings.
if you punch someone over a parking...
And, it's not sad, but it's unfortunate, because if he didn't have the temper, he might be the next president. He would have been he has name recognition, brilliant actor, charismatic, good-looking fellow, smart man, Democrat.
Been on Saturday Night Live billions of times.
You know, literally genius comedy work on 30 Rock.
The problem is, though, he's just got a little cuckoo in him.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a
every
little
once in a while,
cuckoo.
just like...
He loses it, yeah.
Yeah, and he's big enough. See, I have a rage problem, but you could squash me like a bug.
You just go in the bathroom of Jamaica Station going,
That's right, a man spread on airplanes. But I'm not going to go up and assault people physically, because I'm not someone who could physically do that. But Baldwin's he's a stocky dude.
They're just, well, also they come from like a rough part of the island where people are kind of like, roughies.
Yeah.
No
I
one
mean,
likes
but
the
no, it's a shame, because had he controlled that, he would absolutely be a viable, candidate.
What else?
Because he had political aspirations for a while,
Well,
and they came to nothing. Because he called his little daughter a piggy. Well, I mean that's nothing, but still.
Also, he has a little problem with substances, right?
Oh, I don't know about that.
No.
Maybe back in the day. I'm sure back in the day. I don't know if that's current.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, hey, while the Spanish flu has become an epidemic, you can...
Oh, wait.
What?
Where's my thing? Oh, here.
I beg your pardon?
Here.
While the Spanish flu has become an epidemic, you can avoid it by taking... It's like rap now. Yes, thank you. Good Lord. That's more me, yeah. I don't know what the symptoms are of Spanish flu. But you know how you could avoid it back in the day?
How?
This was an advertisement. By taking a sulfur steam bath.
Because no one will go near you.
Now, and this is not like in hot springs or something like that. You're going to take a sulfur steam bath at Mr. Roberts' place.
Oh, nice.
Over the Curtis Jewelry Store.
Oh, nice.
How would you like to be at a jewelry store with sulfur smell?
I think actually the opposite. You'd probably dehydrate and be more at risk for the flu.
With sulfur? Mm-hmm. Why?
Because it would dehydrate you.
But it's a bath. You're soaking in steam.
Yeah, but you're sweating.
Oh.
You're probably sweating out all your good stuff.
And doesn't sulfur smell like horrible rotten eggs?
Sulfur smells like poo-poo eggs, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How much jewelry would they sell in a shop where you've got the smell of sulfur coming down
That's
from
like,
the ceiling?
David, it's like Sweeney Todd. It's Sweeney Todd.
More hot sulfur? Okay. Oh, we're going to go outside Greeley again for Dateline Elsewhere. Here we go. Erie, Pennsylvania. In fact, not a great week for Pennsylvania for obvious reasons, but we're not going to talk about that. A 32-year-old Erie, Pennsylvania woman has been killed after an overdose on meth.
What?
She overdosed on meth, but no, that's not what actually killed her. It caused her to insert a gas pump nozzle into her anus.
Oh my God!
And begin pumping gasoline.
Where's the lady screaming? Hold on.
I see that face. Yeah. And then where's the fart cloud too?
I think it should be it should be this one.
2 gallons? Yeah, once you got to 2.5 gallons. So, yeah. According to CBS News...
Why didn't somebody stop her? If I was at the 7-Eleven and I saw somebody putting a gas pump near their butt, I would stop them.
Wasn't a friend of a friend doing something funny?
That was in the Army. They put an air pump up their tushy and blew their intestines out and died.
Why didn't somebody stop them?
Because they were drunk men in an army.
So this is a woman on meth.
Yeah, but they're gas station attendants who probably are like, what's that?
If there were gas station attendants, people wouldn't be doing self-service. That's the problem.
Most places in the gas station, you have to pay for the gas beforehand.
Maybe
and if
she
you
did.
see someone coming in without a car, wouldn't you say, where are you going to put the gas?
Maybe she had a car. Maybe she got out of the car. She put in her credit card. Yeah. She showed her
How
thing
could she do all that? Her bonus points?
to get grocery points.
And she hit the thing for extra, like...
She wanted Accu, whatever. So her ass would run cleaner with less methane.
The body can't take that.
Well, no kidding. The woman, yet to be formally identified, has a record of multiple drug offenses in Pennsylvania.
Did she blow up?
Well, the latest incident was caused by the woman overdosing on meth. According to witnesses...
Yeah. See, why didn't they stop her?
Well, the woman ran across several lanes of traffic to the gas station and grabbed a pump nozzle before pulling down her skirt.
Oh, God.
Horrified motorists looked on as the woman proceeded to shove the nozzle into her anus and began pumping gas. Shouldn't gas be coming out of a person?
Why wouldn't they just stop her?
Because, that feels good, she is said to have called out to the onlookers, who were too shocked to attempt to stop her.
I don't buy that. People are so passive.
Well, you don't necessarily
There's
know.
that syndrome. It's remember with Genovese. Katie Genovese.
Oh,
it's like
yeah,
people are so lame.
The woman continued to pump gas until the cashier activated the emergency stop. She later collapsed on the ground and paramedics came. However, by then the gasoline had flooded the woman's internal organs and shut them down after it was absorbed through her rectum. Yeah. The gas we pass. But the good news is that her anus was running at about 49 miles per hour on the highway.
No, it had 49 miles per gallon.
Per gallon on the highway. Oh, yes indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
Drugs
The
are
joys.
bad. They said meth is making a comeback.
I know it went away, but why?
I don't know. What do I know? I don't do drugs.
But that's, if you saw a woman run across the
I stop it all
grab
the time. I stop it. When I was in New York, I was sitting in a Starbucks near Lincoln Center, near Fordham.
Yeah.
Downtown, downtown Fordham. And I looked out, and there was a guy, like a mother and father walking, and it looked like he was going to hit or drag his teenager.
Yeah.
So 3 of us got up out of Starbucks. We were sitting near the ledge near the window. We got up and said, like, what's going on? And some guy said, like, we're going to call the police.
Wow.
And he said to the girl, are you safe? Do you want us to call someone? Because you can't be a bystander. You got to do your job.
Oh, yeah, you can. My father always tells the story
What?
of he was coming home at night or walking
Oh,
somewhere.
Dad, please don't tell that story.
What? I don't think I've ever told it on the air.
No, don't say it.
Okay, fine. I
Because
won't
it's
say it.
sexist and probably
There's
racist.
nothing sexist about it. It
And
happened.
racist.
How is it racist?
I don't know.
I don't think there were...
I think it...
Well, maybe there were. But the story, he's not making up stuff. It happened.
How do you know?
Because it happened 40 years ago. Anyway, all right. I'm not going to tell it.
Thank you.
All right. But I will tell this story.
What?
Not a story, a call that came into the Greeley Police Department, because we are doing Greeley crimes all the time.
Oh my God, don't tell me it's after 10.
It is after 10. You told me not to tell you that.
Michael joined us.
Yay, Mike. Hello,
Hey,
Michael.
Miguel, ¿cómo estás?
Police responded to East 20th Street
No more 8th and 8th, huh?
for a naked man
Uh-oh.
walking down the street. The man was using a rag to cover himself.
Good.
So he's not naked.
Well, he was just holding it.
That doesn't that mean he's, well, one side he's kind of partially.
Depends on what he's covering.
Yeah. I guess that's what Dylan meant when the rag man draws circles up and down the block. I don't want to know. Police responded to the corner of 20th Street and 28th Avenue for an intoxicated man menacing passersby with 2 knives.
Oh my God.
Just before the caller dialed 911,
Yeah.
the man fell on one of the knives.
Shit.
God. It's like an early drafted To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, that's
It's
bad.
like Bob Ewell fell
Oh,
on
no.
one of his knives.
That's bad.
Anyway. I'd say boo to that story. Well, boo Radley. Anyway.
Do we have
Get
it?
it? Tee-hee. Oh. Did I tell you about Mrs. Stout and Mrs. Bowman?
Oh, no.
Oh, Mrs. Stout and Mrs. Bowman, they got into an argument at the Cabbage Warehouse this week. This is the kind of story you got 100 years
is that
ago.
like Costco?
Yeah, the Cabbage Warehouse.
Yeah.
You need
In Men's Warehouse, right?
It's a 50-cent card for the year. Yeah, but it is wholesale. Right? Each saying she was a better lady than the other.
I'm a better lady. Your
Then-
mama. Your mama.
They went to blows, and both were... You're saying my story was racist, and you're saying, yo, mama? Like, there's these old women 100 years ago, and they go, yo, mama.
That's exactly what they said. How
I'm
do
sure.
you know?
I'll call you out your name.
How could they, if they were such ladies, why would they be beaten down on each other?
This is what the newspaper wrote. They will face a judge in court this week. Maybe the judge can tell us which one is a lady.
Whoa,
That's witty. That's wit right there. Oh.
Oh, no,
No,
I
you
can't-
gotta do
You
it.
got it. I can't handle
Okay,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, very important now, as part of Greeley Crimes in Old Times, back in the day, a lot of the stories used to be, 100 years ago, about the homeless people that they called hobos, and also about certain farm animals running loose. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a chicken alert! Chicken alert! Chicken alert! I think I have the music. Hold on. Yeah.
I'll get Mrs. Bachbagak.
Get Mrs. Bachbagak out of the bag while I play the chicken alert theme.
There ain't nobody here but us chicken. There ain't nobody here at all. So quiet yourself. Stop that fuss.
Oh, I have Mrs. Bachbagak. It's fine.
Take kindly point that gun the other way and hobble up and
Yeah. We have a chicken alert, ladies and gentlemen, on Greeley Crimes and Old Times here on Dave's Gone By. This is cool because, as I said, 100 years ago, a lot of things were about hobos and chickens. We got a little message from Naomi saying, where is Rabbi Saul? Rabbi Saul is coming up. He will be talking to
Naomi?
the hilarious, I don't think it's...
Naomi?
Yes, it is. It is our Naomi. The Naomi that we saw a week ago.
Nomi?
Yes.
Nomi.
Her actual name is Naomi. We call her Nomi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At least that's how it's spelled here.
Let me see.
We're not going to use her last name. So it was really good to see you, Naomi.
Tell her that Rabbi Saul, because of his witness and protection program and all his violations, he's only allowed out for a certain interval of time.
Rabbi
Tell
Saul
her who was interviewing.
Yeah, Rabbi Saul actually belongs to the Witless protection program. But Rabbi Saul will be here in about half an hour
And he's
talking
gonna
to
do-
comedian Will Durst. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot of fun, I promise you. So, anyway, but we're on a chicken alert right now. What is the chicken alert today? Oh.
What?
I got it wrong. It's actually a hobo alert. But I think I wrote I may have a chicken alert somewhere.
You better.
I thought I did.
You bet.
Do. Here we go. I can do this one. Yes. Police responded to Wilshire Road for a report of a lethargic dog.
What?
Wait, there's more. There's more. Police were called about a lethargic dog.
Wow. We'd have to call him every day.
Yeah. Once on the scene, officers located an Australian shepherd, which was exhibiting symptoms of marijuana toxicity.
You know, even the dogs smoke in Colorado.
I know, don't
really?
Yeah. The owner said the dog got into some marijuana edibles, right, which she normally uses to fatten up the chickens during the winter.
You know why?
Why?
Because if you don't want to eat and you do the ganja, then you get hungry. So they give the chickens the ganja, and then they get all high, and then they want to eat the chicken pellets.
But if you eat a chicken that has marijuana in it, do you get, high?
I don't know.
The owner said the dog had gotten into edibles once before and was stoned for 4 days.
Why don't they go to the thing called the veterinarian?
Oh,
Why are they telling the police this?
Yeah. Well, but it wasn't a big deal, they said. The officer told the officer told the owner that marijuana toxicity is a medical emergency for dogs and to get it to a vet immediately or be cited. So I just, if you have Kentucky Fried Chicken and you are feeding those chicken marijuana brownies.
See, it makes no sense because it would be like me having a problem with Walmart or Target, and then I call the police and I'd be can you help? I mean, why not just call your vet?
Well, no. Well, police responded.
Oh, somebody called.
Somebody called about a dog that was probably rolling around going
The dog wanted to go to Chiba Hut.
I think dogs are colorblind, but this one saw colors for
The
once.
dog wanted to go to Chiba Hut.
Right.
Like, let's go to Chiba Hut.
It was I'm going to chase the ball again and again and again and again. Woof. Woof. Really, woof.
Wow.
Yeah. Anywho, I'm sorry, that was a chicken alert.
Yes.
That was a chicken alert. What I was ringing the bell for, though, was, in fact, hold your ears, hobo alert! Hobo alert! Oh, my goodness, it's a hobo alert.
Oh, boy.
Mayor Kidd of LaSalle, and our friend Julia tuned in. Mayor Kidd of LaSalle is also the acting town marshal.
Oh, wait.
Okay. Oh.
Wait.
Well, he was in a grumpy mood. He was awakened last night by a hobo in town, getting dressed in the dark and putting on his marshal's badge. He went out to correct the situation. However, when the hobo saw his badge, he said, "You're no cop," and ran.
You talking to me?
Well, the mayor checked his badge and discovered he had put on one of his wife's glittery pins.
David, I'm so fancy. I'm so fancy.
He didn't try to catch the hobo. He just went back to bed.
Yeah, that's shameful.
Isn't that marvelous? I like that.
Well, good
one.
for him. If you're you might as well put on a nice brooch. You know, maybe something with a little Marcusite or maybe a little Joan Rivers collection. You know.
Well, actually, Marcus is on our site, so so welcome to Naomi. So Naomi wrote "yep," which is close to "wep," and she also said, "Oh, two big smiley faces."
Oh,
yay.
that's cute.
And Julia's there, so yay, Julia.
The smiley
too.
faces have blush, just like the sheriff.
Aww. At a local jewelry store, a young man and woman were hugging and kissing in public.
Maybe they were getting hitched.
Well, they better. Store owner called the police, and the chief called back and told the couple to get in their auto and take their passion to the suburbs.
The suburbs are passionate. There's no passion lived in the suburbs.
We lived in the suburbs.
There's
it's true.
nothing.
Yeah. Wow.
Take your passion to the suburbs.
Isn't it a wonderful line?
Yeah.
They left immediately. Oh, those hotbed suburbs. Let me
That's
tell you.
right.
Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that what Betty Friedan wrote about? Right.
I don't know. Oh, goodness me. Let's do a couple more of Greeley Crimes and Old Times, then we'll wrap this up and we'll get to Inside Broadway and, of course, Rabbi Saul. But no, finally, some of the people we've missed so much. Warhol is back. And Chauncey. Hello, Chauncey. Thank you for tuning in. And Matthew as well. Hello, everybody. And welcome to the Daverhood. We're doing Greeley Crimes and Old Times, ladies and gentlemen. Police responded to 19th Avenue.
Wait. 8th and 8th?
No, this is all the way up on 19th.
Whoa.
For a report of a bag of clothes on fire next to the caller's house. Dispatch advised her, what?
Put it out.
Oh, no, stay away, don't touch it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's probably good advice.
For everything.
There's a bag of clothes on fire near
It's
your
near
house.
your barbecue pit.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Let's see.
Maybe get a hobo.
Now, are you ready for one more alert today?
Yes.
This is not a chicken alert. It's not a hobo alert.
What is it?
It's an awe alert. We love these. This is where you're listening, we're listening, and when we do this story, you're supposed to go, aw. So try it with me now. Aw. Okay, here's our awe alert.
Feel the passion of the suburbs.
Police responded to Rover Run Dog Park
Where is that?
on F Street.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know where the hell that is. For a calf on the wrong side of the fence. Oh.
This is like a West Side Story kind of.
I know, right?
Stay with your own kind. Stay with your own kind. Get out of the dog park. If you're, listen, stay with your own kind, stay with your own kind. Get out of the dog park if you're a bovine.
That's
There
good.
you go.
I want to be in the kennel club. We want to be in the kennel. Okay. Anyway, the
I
caller.
don't want to be choppy.
Let's see. Dear K-9 officer, the caller said it was trying to get back on the right side of the fence, but it was about to. What?
My hand doing like this.
So the cow, the little calf, was trying to get back on the right side.
Can we call him Fred? Oh, no, we can't call him Fred's on there. No, not Fred.
Flossie, maybe?
We used to, so, I'm sorry, Fred, but in my childhood home, every time we had an animal and we couldn't think of a name of it, we called it Fred. So all the mice in our house were called Fred, so it's my go-to.
So we'll call it Fred.
Let's call him Cheeseburger.
Oh, that's horrible. That's terrible. Especially since he's veal still. He's that young. He's a little calf.
Oh.
But the problem was, there was a fence was on the wrong side of it. It was about to fall in the water.
Whoa.
And the mom cow was trying to help the baby, and several cows moved into the area. Oh.
It's like South Park.
The calf, though, was rescued.
Yeah.
Aww.
And served up at Rusty's Grill.
That's right. He made like 1,500 White Castles. I mean, he could have fit under the fence the whole time, but he just didn't want to go back to his mom.
There you go. Those kids today. Kids today.
Oh, God, yeah.
Wait, here we go.
Oh, and Fred says that it was perfectly okay to have called the cow Fred.
Oh, thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred. And Naomi says you need to take your puppies to Rover Run. It's a fun place for dogs, and one of the only places you can take dogs in town.
Tell her you can also bring your calf.
And that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Or both calves. But you have to wear special shoes. So that's comedy right there. And that is Greeley Crimes and Old Times for today, November 3rd, 2018. Dave Lefkowitz here doing the Dave's Gone By Facebook Yo program of the stream with my darling and adorable wife, adorable wife, Joyce. Let me get Moa.
Dirty. We're not in the suburbs. Control yourself. This is not the suburbs.
I know those. Ooh.
We're not in a jewelry store. Maybe they were in the jewelry store below the sulfur and they made them crazy.
That's what do it. That would the rotten egg smell brings up a certain passionate feeling.
It brings up the guy in the Jamaica bathroom going.
That's right. He was doing it to himself, though. That was God knows what he was doing.
Maybe he was anorexic.
He wasn't. It didn't sound like puke. It was more like and it wasn't pain either. It was just mental illness. It was like.
Oofty does
Maybe
that.
it was a zombie. It was Halloween.
He might have been like that. Those zombie people. I hate them. I'm scared of that. I hope he wasn't a zombie.
Speaking of scary, I was in New York.
Yeah.
This past week, and was coming out of a show or going to a show.
Yeah.
And I see getting out of a really nice car.
Oh, no.
This person, I swear, the most horrific looking burn victim
Oh, it's
I've
the
ever
costume.
seen. Okay, but yeah, the space and the thing.
costume.
And yeah, it was really, and he's just
Yeah.
walking along the street. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute.
It's Halloween, yeah.
A, it's Halloween, and B, it was the theater district. He could have, I'm not
What
joking,
show?
he could have been, because I think Phantom has
yes,
a Thursday matinee.
Yes.
He was in
He
Phantom
was probably
makeup.
Phantom, yeah.
I don't know why he wouldn't wear a
He
mask.
went to lunch. He had to go
Yeah.
and get a super gulp.
But I vaguely remember the last time I saw Phantom of the Opera, and they pulled off. It was really horrible. And
Yeah, I
and
don't like
that.
that.
Was it was just this guy walking along, and nobody's paying attention. I'm like, you know.
I never look at anything.
I know. No, you shouldn't. And by the way, welcome to Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Mazel tov to Jay. Jay has been. He was in the Daverhood a couple of weeks ago. He's appearing in Uncle Vanya. They keep extending
I
this
love
Uncle
Uncle
Vanya.
Vanya. I love the Russians.
Yeah.
Bring
It
the
was
Russian
a
plays
classic
back.
play, and it's gotten great reviews, and he's directing it, and he's in
Anything
it.
Russian?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Richard Nelson directed it, the playwright, who's also been in the Daverhood, and J.L. Nelson plays Uncle Vanya
I
off
like
Broadway.
anything Russian or anything by Wooster. Anything avant-garde.
God.
I was telling somebody about Los Escuchantes. Remember when we saw it in Argentina?
yeah.
The street kids, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if you really, really get excited
Yeah.
by performance-type theater, if you have a guard on, if you get a guard on, no.
I don't get it.
No.
I don't know what
Didn't
that
work.
means. I don't
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah. Nor should you. We're going to have so much fun on Dave's Gone By for the rest of the program because we're going to have Rabbi Saul Solomon talking to comedian Will Durst. Speaking of off-Broadway, Will Durst is going to be off-Broadway for 2 or 2.5 weeks in the middle of November.
What's it called? Durst case scenario?
Durst case scenario, midterm madness. So it starts the day after Election Day.
Cool.
So I'll bet you like half his material he hasn't even really.
I bet you it's not
come up-
written. Yeah.
Yeah, some of it, and I mean he's not. He came out of improv. He came out of the Groundlings, but he
Yeah, but
writes
if you
material.
have a long show, you need some kind of script.
Or you have a bunch of stuff that you wrote about both. If this guy wins, I'll do this joke.
Maybe they do. That's
yeah.
hard, though.
Yeah.
How do you memorize all that?
It's tough, but he does it, and he's been doing it for years and years. He'll be doing it off-Broadway this month, Will Durst, in Durst Case Scenario. And the best case scenario is that he'll be talking to our own Rabbi Saul Solomon on this program just a little while from now. We'll also
very
have
pretty. You're
Dave's
pretty.
Big Dick.
Show them
scenario.
the Otter book. Show
I will,
them
I will.
maybe for Nomi. Nomi, look at the Otter book.
Oh, hold on. Well,
Show
the
her the
word will
Otter
be
book.
translation. All right, I'm showing the Otter book. Here we go.
That might be of interest.
And we will be feeding the otters
Wow.
in story time. And we have a Colorado Limerick of the Dam today. We're going to Center, Colorado. Bet you didn't know there was a Center, Colorado. And we'll be talking about that too.
I hope it's not those suburbs.
And, it's more rural than anything else. Yeah, and that'll be the show. Plus, Inside Broadway, which is where we're going in literally just a moment after I tell you about the wonderful folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. Since the mid-1970s, the Toron family has owned and operated Hewlett.
Will you
What?
come to the gym with me?
No, I will not come to the gym with you.
With me right now.
I
Come
hate
on.
No, I don't like. I mean, I don't dislike it, but Joyce wants me to come to the gym with her, and if I were a good husband, I would, but I won't. Anyway, Minuteman, family owned and operated since 1975, on the block of Broadway in Hewlett, where all the cool stuff is. It's across the street from the big new Petco. There's a couple of banks right down there. They moved buildings a few months ago, but they're on the same strip. They're just two houses over.
Think that's true.
What do you mean? I saw them. They did. What?
Where do they live now? Where's their thing?
Their thing is literally
Why is
2
my
stores
bag
down.
so heavy?
Oh, check your bag. Is there a book in there?
Why did they move their building?
I think they're in a smaller space.
But how did they move those heavy machines?
How does any store move? How does anybody go from one place to another?
They have a lot of machines to move.
Yeah, well, they have a couple of big Xerox machines. They also do, what do they call it? Embossing. And that's a big part of their business now, is putting logos and decals and things on pieces of clothing. But they still are also a copy shop. If you come in there with a black and white piece of paper, and you want it Xerox or photocopied, they'll do it. They'll do it double-sided. They'll do color. They'll do printing and binding. They'll do your name or company logo on balloons, on flyers, on mugs, on articles of clothing. They're also known for wedding invitations and holiday cards. Their Hewlett Minuteman Press. Give them a call. 516-569-5577. Area code 516-569-5577. And if you tell them Dave sent you get 10% off any job, big or small, at Hewlett Minuteman Press in Hewlett, Long Island. So, they're still probably... No, I think they're already closed today. I think they're open only until noon on Saturdays. But they'll be open Monday morning at 8:30 for any job that you have at Hewlett Minuteman. They are the Copy Kings. Well, I feel king of the world here doing this wonderful radio and, Facebook program.
Okay.
All right, let me just... Let me say farewell to
I'm
my...
I'm going to eat an apple here because I need some
Oh,
energy.
Joy's going to eat, so you're going to hear some eating sounds in the background. I'll do some romantic mood music while you eat the apple.
David, this is not the suburbs. We're in.
So I'm going to start, though, our Inside Broadway segment. And this is where we talk about something that I do love, because I've been a theater critic for about 30 years now, and I have acted, and I've directed, and I've written plays, blah, blah, blah. So I love talking about the theater and telling you what's going on stage. Inside Broadway, a look at theater on and off Broadway and beyond. Brought to you by Total Theater and Performing Arts Insider. Curtain going up. Inside Broadway we go for just some theater news, because I care about it and I like to share it with you. For example, got a big, may not be the best show that'll be opening on Broadway this season, but it's certainly the biggest, and it's opening this week. In fact, it's Thursday, November 8th, at the Broadway Theater. There's actually a theater on Broadway called the Broadway Theater. Dum, 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 dum.
David,
King...
2:30.
What? 2:30?
Yep.
Okay. King Kong will be opening on Broadway. It's a drama with music. There's actually songs in it by this Australian guy named Eddie Perfect. The book is by Marius de Vries, who I believe did the Harry Potter, or collaborating on the Harry Potter Broadway show. No, I'm sorry. Forgive me. He's the composer. Jack Thorne is the librettist, and he did the Potter show. Anyway, it's an adaptation of the 1933 film classic about a big-ass ape. And the big thing about the show is they've got a giant animatronic puppet ape called King Kong.
Spider-Man?
No, it's not Spider Ape.
Spider-Man?
I wish they would do a Spider Pig, the musical.
Why never Spider-Man?
They did Spider-Man. It flopped.
Wanted to get the animals from Spider-Man.
Well, all there were spiders and a guy dressed in a Spidey suit.
Where'd I put my thing?
Where did you put your... I don't know. What thing are you looking for? Hold on, folks.
I got
a
it.
little break. Good. Love you, sweetie. Love you too. So, King Kong is opening on Broadway. The early word is that audiences... do you need a little beverage? Man.
Uh-oh.
What? Why?
I gotta pee.
You shart?
No, I gotta pee.
Oh, all right.
Give me my clippers.
Give me your what?
Drink.
Oh, okay.
Stop looking at yourself. Okay, go ahead. Who's on Broadway? Spider-Man.
No, King Kong. King Kong is opening on Thursday at the Broadway Theater. So early word is that critics are probably going to hate it, even though they'll be impressed by the ape. Audiences are just basically having a good time.
Who plays the lady?
Do I have the name? I don't have the name. It's not a famous person.
It's a musical? Will he dance?
I don't think he'll dance.
Gotta dance.
Now, if they could get King Kong to be really authentic and throw his own feces the way apes do.
I'd like him to bite Mothra.
Oh, well, that's a different... Could you imagine Godzilla the musical on Broadway?
I like that.
That would rock.
If Barney, look, they had Barney. People love Barney. Why wouldn't they love Godzilla the musical?
I would love Godzilla musical. I still think Spider Pig would be the best overall musical. And it's got a theme song already.
Am I zipped in the back?
Are you zipped in the back? Yes. Yes, you will. Let me zip it a little tighter.
Why are they wearing pickles in a jar?
I don't know. There's a photo in my room my wife is referring to. What am I doing? I'm doing Inside Broadway, of course, here on Dave's Got My...
the King Kong musical.
Yes. Love you. I'll see you at 2:30.
Yes, sir.
At
I
the
left you
UC.
a text. I gave you a text, though.
Yeah. Okay. So, moving forward, also, there are 2 shows opening on Broadway this coming week. One is opening tomorrow night at the Booth Theater for a limited run through late January. It's the drama American Son by a writer I've never heard of, Christopher Demos Brown. Kenny Leon directs a lot of stuff on Broadway. He staged Children of a Lesser God, the revival of that last season. Here, and it's race-related drama, all about this African-American woman. Her son didn't come home, and she's wondering where he is, so she goes to the police station, where at least one of the police people is white, but there's all this underlying and undercurrent of her wanting them to find her son, but at the same time them kind of making certain assumptions about who she is and what he is. And the show stars Kerry Washington. It's also got Shonda Rhimes in there, Jacob Pinkett Smith, and Stephen Pasquale, who was in The Bridges of Madison County on Broadway. So it's American Son opening tomorrow at the Booth Theater on Broadway. Now, there was also a show, since we're in the middle of the autumn onslaught of Broadway shows, this is like the big season for it, a Broadway show opened a couple of nights ago. On Thursday, November 1st, the revival of Torch Song opened on Broadway. Now, there was a, if you remember, back in the day when it was off Broadway and moved to Broadway, it was called Torch Song Trilogy, because it was a trio of one-act plays that were connected by their author, Harvey Fierstein. Now he's taken those plays, he's cut out some material from them, so that the whole evening runs just over 3 hours instead of close to 4, but they're still somewhat connected, somewhat disconnected one-act plays, focusing on this lovable gay guy, Arnold, his difficult love life, and also towards, in the last play, his becoming something of a father figure, big brother to another gay young man that he's trying to send to school and get off the streets. So I think I reviewed the show here months ago when it was off Broadway, because they brought it off Broadway, the revival of it, which is directed by Moises Kaufman. And then it was such a popular hit, it did so well, that now they've moved it to Broadway. It stars Michael Urie as Arnold, Mercedes Ruehl, who is playing his difficult mother, and let's see, I can't believe that the play was back in 1982 to 1985, so it's almost like the 40th anniversary, 92, 02, well, 30-something anniversary of Torch Song. How did the critics like it? Because it opened a couple of nights ago. What did the critics think of this revival of Torch Song? Marilyn Stasio, writing for Variety, was not a fan. She finds the revival, quote, affectionate but ill-considered. And she says that Michael Urie as Arnold, he's not really making the character his own. He's still following in the footsteps of and the shadows of Harvey Fierstein, who played the part that he wrote himself back in the day. She also found Mercedes' role quite stiff, strangely stiff, she writes. So the piece holds up in that it's very kind to its characters. It likes these people. But she also says it doesn't hold up because all these people are unbelievably sweet with very dated sensibilities. So she's kind of a moderate thumbs down on Torch Song. That's from Variety. However, the New York Times, Ben Brantley, their co-chief critic, he thought it was a terrific revival. He said it's a portrait of a lovelorn, nice Jewish boy who works as a gender illusionist, which is a euphemism to say that he is a cross-dresser and he does a campy gay trans act. Actually, I'm not sure what to call it. The original production took mainstream theater goers to places few had visited before, including a backroom bar for sweaty anonymous sex. I mean, but it's not in a funny, goofy way. There's nothing unseemly about the show. In fact, some of the critics complained that the show was almost too sanitized in the world that it's projecting. Yet, Harvey Fierstein's Arnold clearly belonged to a breed that Broadway has always celebrated, eccentric stage stars like Zero Mostel and Carol Channing. So he's saying that it's more of a showpiece tailored around an outsized character. Okay. Ben Brantley says the script has the zing of an R-rated Neil Simon comedy. He also admired the show's intimacy and intensity when he saw it off-Broadway last year. He finds it even bigger and smoother now. And he also praises Michael Urie for not becoming oversized and shrill, and says that Mercedes' role nearly steals the show. For Deadline.com, critic Greg Evans wrote, "There's a creeping feeling that Torch Song is more dated than we had hoped." And he agrees with Variety's Marilyn Stasio that Michael Urie's weird foghorn voice, in trying to have his own special voice instead of using Harvey Fierstein's, is a bizarre affectation that sounds somewhat between Bert Lahr and Hanna-Barbera's Snagglepuss. And it's true, when I saw the show, I was like, well, nothing, it didn't bother me much, but it was a really odd kind of voice that he's using. Newsday, Elizabeth Vincentelli, our friend of the Daverhood, who used to write for the New York Post, now she highlights all over the place. You'll find her in the New York Times, now she's in Newsday. She says, Mercedes Rule and Michael Urie's scenes work well, but the rest of the scenes feel too safe, and they lack the original ache, and they also lack a sense of period, so it's a long haul until the payoff. However, Dave Quinn from Entertainment Weekly gave the show an A-. He called it an exquisite revival that especially catches fire when Urie and Rule go at it. And I'll echo that. I haven't seen the Broadway iteration, but I did see, as I said, this show when it was off-Broadway. And when Mercedes Rule is on stage, and when she's going at it with Michael Urie's Arnold, the play really catches fire. It's fun to watch. It's interesting. The rest of the time, well written, some great lines, but I was just sitting there not really into it, not really caring that much about the characters, kind of wishing that it was down not from 4 hours to 3, but from 4 hours to maybe 2:15. But that's just me. If you want to find out for yourself, go see Torch Song. Now, where's Torch Song Trilogy? Or, I keep calling it Torch Song Trilogy. It's now just called Torch Song. But where is it playing? I hear you ask. Ooh, let me check my handy Performing Arts Insider magazine. And that will tell me, and you, that it's at the Helen Hayes Theater on West 44th Street. That's the kind of information you have at your fingertips on every single page of Performing Arts Insider, the Bible, of Broadway since 1944. So you got this beautiful front cover. This is an older one already. This is going back to October. But you've got a list of all the Broadway shows that are either about to open or the ones that are still running from previous seasons. You even have a little map of the theater district. Here's the interesting stuff. Now you have a guide to every single Broadway theater, where it's located, what show is playing in it, until when, how many seats does the theater have. Then you move forward to the press agents. These are the folks who are handling and representing all the productions on Broadway, whether it's Bo O'Brien Brown or Polk and Company, DKC O&M. I mean, these won't mean something to a lot of people who are just casual theater goers, but to folks who write about the theater, who work in the theater, who are theater owners elsewhere or on the road, these are very important names to know and to contact, because they represent the productions that are happening on Broadway. And then we move to Day by Day on Broadway, when every single show is starting previews, opening, and closing, either currently or in the months and years ahead. Same thing, and you can't get this anywhere else, for off and off Broadway. Every single show currently running, and then, what's starting previews? Let's see, what was starting previews on October 23rd? The revival of Tom Paine. Terrible. Well, it was terrible when I saw it years ago. But Tom Paine at Signature Theater, that is starting previews, or did start previews, on October 23rd. What shows were ending on October 27th? Let's see. They did an adaptation of High Noon. There was a comedy, or might have been a drama, called Hitler's Tasters. Something called Rags Parkland Sing the Blues, but I think that was extended. Yeah, I'm just going down a list. You can't get this list anywhere else. And now, of course, we've got the meat of the magazine, the Broadway guide to every single show. There's Aladdin. There's American Son that I was just talking about. Anastasia. All the info. Who wrote it? Who's the choreographer? The director? Who's in the cast? What awards did it win? Who are the designers? What are some notes about the show? Some trivia. And then all the producers and how to contact them. The press agents, the stage manager, the production stage manager. What theater is it in and where, and when does it open, close, etc. We do this for every Broadway show and every off and off Broadway show as well in Performing Arts Insider 21 times a year. You want to subscribe? Go to performingartsinsider.com. Performingartsinsider.com. Every issue has a subscriber thing on the back of the issue, but you can just go to that website, performingartsinsider.com, and you can either subscribe for the full season of 21 issues or just go for the monthly 12 issues. People pay a lot of money, but they renew again and again because they know this is the only place that they can get all this terrific information in one convenient place. Performing Arts Insider, it's the Bible of Broadway, and if you're not sure, if you want to try an issue before you commit to subscribing, you can send away for a single issue. I think it's $16, or pick one up for that price at either the Drama Bookshop or Theater Circle, both in Midtown Manhattan. Had some interesting news this week. I actually stopped into the Drama Bookshop to say hi to the folks there, and they're closing. They're going to be hopefully moving and not just closing, but of course New York rent. They have a ground floor space with a window, so they're paying gazemta money. I think they're currently paying and are able to pay $20,000 a month just in rent of the Drama Bookshop, but the landlord wants them to pay even more. And the landlord can ask for it. And the landlord is doing so. So the Drama Book has to close and find somewhere else, and they're looking. They're probably going to move downtown. But if you want to see the Drama Bookshop where it's been for the last few years, it's over on West 41st, I believe, between 7th and 8th Avenue. If you've never been, it's a wonderful place. I mean, just theater and film books as far as the eye can see. Check it out. And, of course, grab a copy of Performing Arts Insider while you're there. Anyway, some more Broadway news and information for you as part of Inside Broadway on this episode of Dave's Gone By Live on this Saturday, November 3rd, 2018. Happy Bandiversary! And we give an especially happy shout-out on this one because the band's visit, the Broadway musical, which was scored by our friend of the Daverhood, David Yazbek, that opened 1 year ago, November 9th, 2017, at the Barrymore Theater. It's got a book by Itamar Moses adapting a screenplay by Eran Kolarin. Main thing is, it's a wonderful show. I saw it last time I was in New York. It's a lovely, quiet, often funny, sometimes poignant musical about this Egyptian band that is going to play a concert somewhere in Egypt, but they get the place wrong, and instead they wind up at the biggest Nowheresville village in Israel. And it's this culture shock, but it isn't political. There isn't all this stuff about none of that. It's just human beings from different cultures warily colliding with each other and helping with each other. The score is lovely and sometimes very funny. If you've never seen the band's visit, it's still running and it's celebrating its 1 year anniversary on Broadway on November 9th. And by the way, it won a ton of awards. It won the 2018 Tony for Best Musical, for Best Book, for Best Score to David Yazbek. Plus, the stars of the time, Tony Shalhoub and Katrina Lenk, also won awards, and Katrina is still in it. So you can go see her marvelous performance in the band's visit on Broadway at the Barrymore Theater. Now, speaking of Broadway shows, as I mentioned, I did see one. Well, I saw a few while I was in New York last week, and one of them was a revival of an off-Broadway drama by Kenneth Lonergan called The Waverly Gallery. Waverly Gallery goes back to 1999, and Lonergan has since become more of a name even in movies than in theater, because if you remember, Manchester by the Sea was Oscar nominated, and he may have won for Best Screenplay on that. He also wrote the play Lobby Hero, which was revived a year or two ago on Broadway. So this revival of the Waverly Gallery, it's the first time for the show on Broadway. It opened about 2 weeks ago, and I got to see it at the John Golden Theater. Here's the cool thing. The cast includes David Cromer. Who's that? Well, by the way, he directed the band's visit, but he's also an actor. He's in there, Joan Allen, that marvelous Broadway actress, and it marks the return to Broadway after, I think, about 30 years of Elaine May. Remember, from Nichols and May, and also the woman who did The Heartbreak Kid, and Ishtar, too. But a legend in comedy, Elaine May. And what's really weird is that I thought, okay, she's really, really old, and she'll have trouble getting around, and she'll have a couple of lines, but no. No, first of all, she's in her 80s, she looks like she's in her 60s, and yet she's playing a woman who is mentally and physically going downhill. It's kind of interesting. And almost counterintuitive. But she is great, actually. And the play is very, very worthwhile. Not a happy time at the theater. The whole story is of this upper middle class Jewish-ish family in Manhattan. And they're a family. They're dysfunctional like every family in its own way. But the problem is, her mom, Joan Allen's mom, played by Elaine May, is starting to lose it. She's starting to get demented. And not demented in the way that I've been for all my life. But she's starting to have trouble with language, remembering words, remembering what she just said, paying attention to people. And in the beginning of the play, it's starting to get a little annoying and bad. And as the play goes on, scene by scene by scene, she loses more and more. And they're trying to, these are nice people overall. And they don't want to just push her out. I mean, they want to humor her. And they still want to talk to her and include her. But of course, the sadness of the play is that it just becomes more and more draining. It becomes more and more impossible to deal with her. One of the lifelines that she has, the reason that the play is called the Waverly Gallery, is that for years she has run a small little gallery on Waverly Place where she shows art that's not of the best, highest quality, but it gives her something to do. It's a place for her to be all day, to still interact with people, to be part of New York, and to be in the art world, which she loves. Problem, of course, it's a play. There's got to be a problem. She's got this gallery. She's not selling much, and the landlord wants her out. He wants to take the space and turn it into a cafe as part of something else, and he wants her out very quickly. And the family is really upset about this because it's like that's her one lifeline outside of them, where she is all day. And then she even takes in an artist who sleeps in the gallery, which at first is kind of a little, we're worried about him. What does he want? He's creepy, he's scary. And then it turns out to be the best thing, because there's someone for her to talk to all day, and someone who looks after her. But then she's going to lose the gallery. He's not selling any paintings, and then the family, unfortunately for the son, the grown son in the family, he lives in an apartment right down the hall from his grandma's apartment. And as his grandma becomes more and more demented, she wakes up at 1 a.m, 3 a.m, pounds on his door, talks to him about some nonsense or some memory or needs his help for something, and he's going mad. He's not getting any sleep, and he can't deal. And he feels angry that he's been forced to cope with her in this situation, and he's also worried that at some point will his mom turn into that. And if and when she does, will he have to deal with her the way the family is currently dealing with this older woman? So it's, as I said, it is not a laugh riot. It's not meant to be, but it is an absolutely involving kind of a play. One of the critics wrote that it's a play that forces you to listen. Ken Lonergan chooses every word very carefully, even the ones where characters are in half-speech, or they stutter through a speech, or they repeat themselves. That's part of the point. You are trying to guess when someone is intentionally or not intentionally repeating themselves, what they catch and what they don't. Every actor is believable on stage. It's really good stuff. I give it 3.5 stars. Well recommended. It's playing only through the end of January. It is a limited run of the Waverly Gallery on Broadway. Thumbs up. I wish I could come up with my own thing that isn't stealing from Siskel and Ebert, but iced tea up for the Waverly Gallery on Dave, or best of all, Otters up, way up for the Waverly Gallery on Broadway. One more piece of Broadway information to give you before we get to Will Durst and other fun stuff on this episode of Dave's Gone By. Of course, I don't have the piece of paper in front of me. I'll find it. Here it is. Oh, yeah. In the New York Post, our friend of the Daverhood, even though he's a big hoity-toity radio guy now, Michael Riegel still writes once a week, once every 2 weeks, for the New York Post about Broadway. Well, he had a bit of a scoop this time. Apparently, they're going to be reviving Company again on Broadway. They've had a few revivals of this show, and I don't mind because it's friggin' Company, and I could hear that score every day almost for the rest of my life. It's the Stephen Sondheim, George Firth musical, speaking of New Yorkers, about upper and middle class New Yorkers, especially one fellow named Bobby, who is a bachelor, who is surrounded by his good, crazy married friends who are trying to set him up with the right girl. But him trying to find the right girl is basically the whole crux of the musical. Well, they're making a little change when they bring Company back to Broadway next year. Bobby is going to be Bobbiie. They're making Bobby a woman. Bobby, baby, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. Yeah, so she is going to be a bachelorette. But I think all the other characters are still going to be men and women, married friends. I don't know if the character's now going to be a lesbian being set up on dates with these other women, or if they're just being gender blind. No, they're changing the name of the character to Bobby, a female. I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if they're going to switch over the genders of characters like April and such. But we do know that starring in the show is going to be Rosalie Craig, who's playing it in London. They're importing this show from London. And as the woman who sings The Ladies Who Lunch, Patti LuPone. So yeah, tickets will be flying out the door for this gender-switched look at a bachelorette. It's directed by Marianne Elliott, who did a little show called War Horse a few years ago on Broadway. And, of course, Patti LuPone won Tonys for Evita and that revival of Gypsy a decade ago. So, yeah, Company coming back. There's no theater set yet. There's no actual date yet. But they're looking at fall of 2019. So, in honor of that, let's hear a little music from the great musical Company. This is from the 1995 revival of the show. This is like this is the outro music, the bows that the Company is taking in Company. Yes, indeed. Just a little bit there of the great musical Company that's coming back to Broadway. And that was Inside Broadway today on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. It's about 1 minute to 11 o'clock Mountain Time, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. We've got so much more to do on this episode of the show. I'll be talking about the word, was it translation? I think was the word of the day for Dave's Big Dick Dictionary, so I'll be talking about that later. We have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned coming at you about the town of Center, Colorado. We'll be talking about the Friends of the Daverhood, and what else? Oh, and of course, StoryTime, where we will be feeding the Otters. But before all that, we're very proud and very happy to have with us a funny guy. And I don't just mean Rabbi Saul Solomon. I mean a really funny guy. I mean not just funny in the head. A fellow named Will Durst, who has been doing comedy on radio, on TV, on blogs, on podcasts, and in live theater for many, many years now, mostly on the West Coast. New Yorkers are finally going to get a chance to see him again when he does a little off-Broadway solo show this month. So he's going to tell you all about it. His name is Will Durst, and he's talking to the great Rabbi Saul Solomon. Wait, I have the prop for Rabbi Saul right here on Dave's Gone By. When? Oh my goodness, right now.
Hey guys, this is Will Durst, and you can catch me at the Playroom Theater in Midtown doing my little show, Durst Case Scenario Midterm Madness, from November 7th through the 18th. And now, welcome back to Rabbi Saul Solomon on Dave's Gone By. Oy vey.
Oh, shalom, my friends. This is your old pal, Rabbi Saul Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And boy, oh boy, I love talking to funny people. And we have a hilarious human being on the telephone with us now. It's not just me saying this. He is a multi-time nominee for the American Comedy Awards Stand-Up Comedian of the Year prize. And he's been doing this for many years. His books and recordings have titles like The All-American Sport of Bipartisan Bashing and Raging Moderate. He has his latest stand-up solo show. It's called Durst Case Scenario Midterm Madness. Now, usually you have to go all the way to California to see him. You gotta schlep to San Francisco. But no, he will be in Midtown Manhattan at the Playroom Theater, November 7th through the 18th. His name is Will Durst, and we are delighted to have him in the Daverhood. Shalom, Will!
Thank you so much, Rabbi. How are things?
Yeah, things are okay. I mean, you're my age-ish. Do you have the physical things, the ailments, the prostate, the tennis elbow?
Every morning there's something different.
Oh, my God. But when you're on stage, do you feel anything? What I mean is if you're sick or if you have an ailment, your back is hurting, do you forget it for like 75 minutes because there's just you cannot feel ill on stage?
Yeah, I think it has to do with the singular focus. I think it has to do with somebody else relying upon me, that I forget my troubles and I focused on, the other people involved, which is the audience or the owner of the theater or the people working there. But then afterwards you feel worse.
Oh, is it harder? I think you're in your 60s, am I correct?
Yes, I am.
Or is it different from when you were doing it when you were in your 30s and 40s?
Yeah, I have to prepare a lot differently. I can't drink a beer at a ball game and then go on and perform that night. I have to eat well. I have to make sure I eat a couple hours before the performance. Yeah, I have to prepare. I have to, because I expend a lot of energy in those 90 minutes on stage.
Yeah, I don't understand.
It may not seem like it, but I'm running around up there.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that. I've done a comedy humorous show live on stage called Shalom Dammit, and I'm 14 pounds lighter when oh yeah, Shalom Dammit, it was wonderful. Go watch it on YouTube. But why can't you have a beer at a bar? You can start pissing on stage, or does it affect your head, or what?
No, the prostate thing is not a problem on stage. During the day, I can handle that. It's I have found that peeing 3 times a night is highly effective means of home security. But I'm able to. I need to have water, so I'm hydrated, and coffee. So I'm a little amped, and a little bit of sugar, either a cookie or a half a candy bar or something before I go on stage.
Now, you are very much a topical, political comedian. So every time you go on, you're like Mort Saul. You have to check the newspaper. You have to be up on what happened that day. How do you make sure that you're funny about something that just happened 5 hours ago?
Yeah, exactly. That's the conundrum. It's hard. You know what I found, though? I found that the audience is very forgiving, that as long as you mention it, you don't necessarily have to have a joke about it. If I were one of the talk show guys, and they're all really good, Colbert and Seth Meyer and, Kimmel and all the Jimmys, they're all really, really good. But there's also, very providential that they have 15 writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a lot of guys working on that. Now I have to work stuff out, and then their skill is that they see that joke maybe 3 times before they present it to a national audience. And that's tough, man. I mean, once during the major call when everybody, hands out their jokes of the day, and then when they type it down, and then third, it's on the teleprompter. And that's the 3rd time they've seen that joke all day, and they're delivering it to a national audience. Well, me, I have to write everything, mostly because I can't afford writers, so I have to do everything myself, and also I kind of come from a journalism background a little bit.
So, but also you see the joke once. I mean, you think of it, you write it on maybe a note card or just the idea of it. You don't have the luxury of seeing it 3 times during the day before you're performing at 8 o'clock.
No, it's exactly the opposite. I work on that joke and work on that joke and work on that joke all day long. And when it hits the stage, and then on stage, it changes. I will find a different timing on that joke. So the joke really doesn't, grip itself into the DNA of the act until at least a week in.
That makes sense. Do you carry like little notes or note cards on stage that you glance at? Because, I always wondered how stand-up comedians who go from topic to topic to topic they never look like they were looking at anything. Nowadays, everybody reads from monitors if they're famous. But how did you manage that all these years, especially when you have to change 50% of material night to night?
No, it's not 50%. I have an overarching theme. I found that if I get caught up in the minutia of the day's news, that it will just pass me by, and I never get a chance to hone it, and then it's over. For instance, I made the mistake of doing like 5 minutes on Anthony Scaramucci, and that's not just ancient history. I mean, that's medieval at this point. Those jokes are wearing a breastplate, So, and the same thing with Omarosa. So my stuff about Trump, and there is topical stuff, but my stuff is more of an overarching theme covering the whole thing. So it's semi-permanent. The act is semi-permanent with little holes, pigeonholes for current topical stuff. And I use an overhead projector. So I throw Omarosa up there on the overhead projector, and that's a quick joke. Wilbur Mills, I'm working on a joke about Wilbur Mills, and so
Wait, Wilbur Mills from Watergate? Who the hell's Wilbur Mills? Wait.
Exactly. He's the Secretary of Commerce. He's the guy that Forbes magazine said possibly stole $120 million from clients before he became Secretary of Commerce. And the guy is so cheap that he pockets packets of Sweet and Low at restaurants so he doesn't have to buy it at home.
Oh, I do that. I do the blue packets, the yellow pack. I do whatever. I take little bitty containers and squirt the ketchup in there as well. If there's gravy left over on the plate.
But we used to call soup.
Oh, that's right, ketchup at the automat for people who couldn't afford. I'm old enough to understand that reference. But you also make it...
You also apparently were broke enough to understand that reference.
I'm broke enough now to understand that reference, goddammit. Oh, my God. Please. And, if I didn't have a synagogue, I wouldn't have a place to sleep. Let me tell you, these are tough times. But for you, it's been a really good time making a career in stand-up, even though you're probably more local than a lot of other people who go out there. They do the TV, they do international stuff, and you, would you say that like 75% of the time you're in the San Francisco area?
Yeah, I think that's about the right number. Used to be half and half. I used to go out a lot more often, but what I did was I found that I got too old for the comedy clubs. The average age of a comedy club is 18 to 35, which was great when I was 18 to 35. But now, there's always some kid comic doing giant genital jokes before me, or some sort of Asian, like masturbation or defecation or some sort of... And it's impossible to get the audience to turn around and listen to political material. It takes forever for me to turn the Titanic. So I kind of got... And I'm not famous enough that they come see me on purpose, But a couple people, maybe 20, 30% of the audience knows who I am.
Okay. That's
rest of them just wander in because it's a comedy club. So, so I decided this way, doing the little one-man show, I can control the whole thing. I can control the pre-show music, the set, the lighting. So I've been doing this. I did a show in 2006 in New York. It was called the All-American Sport of Bipartisan Bashing. And ever since then, I've just been doing little one-man shows at theaters. And so I run at a theater here in San Francisco, and I do every Tuesday at the theater. And then on weekends, I take it out on the road, and I have a circuit of theaters here in the Bay and in Washington and in Nevada and not so much Oregon, but I'm angling to get there. But I have all these little theaters that put me up between Death of a Salesman and My Fair Lady, and they get a weekend there. So I do it on a percentage basis, so they have some skin in the game, and they send me out on their subscription mailing list, and I've been earning a living doing this.
So I was wondering about that, because even what's really cool about the Playroom Theater is, I took a look at it, it looks like it's got about 60, 70 seats total. So after the rental and all of that, you are able to more than break even. You make a little bit of dough, as you say.
Yeah, I'm real low maintenance, so I keep the cost down. I bring in everything myself.
Now, do you, and I'm just curious because I'm so broke, when you do your podcasts and your blogging, are you making any money off that sort of thing, or is it just to bring attention to your brand when you physically go out and perform?
Both, yeah. I make a little. I do commentaries for 15 radio stations once a week. People can hear those commentaries by going to my website, willdurst.com. And then I turn that commentary, that's about 300 words, I turn that commentary into a column every week that gets syndicated through an organization called Kegel Cartoons. And people can see that at willdurst.com too. So, and it forces me to write. And I'm still in high school, man. If it's due Monday morning, I start it Sunday after 60 minutes,
Well, you have to, because the kind of stuff you write, if you wrote the previous Thursday, the news would be ancient already. So you
don't know how often that happens, man. How often by the time I finish a weekly column and the news has been superseded by other news.
Yeah, it's the truth. But here's also what I'm kind of interested in. I get the sense that for the most part of your career, you were able to, you hit both sides. In other words, whether you were Republican or Democrat, you go out there and you make fun of the news and whatever politician was in power. So if Obama was the president, you make fun of that administration. But now, did you end up shifting further to the left just because it's been so insane?
No, I didn't shift to the left. I stayed in the same damn place, and they moved the playing field. I started at the 40-yard line of the liberals. I'm a third-generation factory rat from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My dad was a union steward, and yeah, we believed in the workers and stuff. But I was on and the Republicans kept yanking the playing field. I'm on the goal line. I'm on the 2-yard now. And yes, you're right. I announced this in the show that I have totally abandoned any efforts to be bipartisan, because America spoke and I listened, and I'm going to go after him the same way he went after us. I'm playing by his rules.
Oh my! All right. Is there? I know you are trying, of course you're a comedian, you need to be funny, but is there so much anger now that it's harder, or does the anger just make it vicious like in the Richard Nixon days?
Well, it's hard to parody a parody. That's the biggest problem with Trump. Because there's something every day, every new outrage. I wonder if we're going to go into Trump fatigue. You would have thought it would have happened already, after 3 years or 3 decades or whatever we've been under his...
Well, I think it is actually a fatigue point, because his rating level is getting higher. The economy has been good, and people are just so sick of the bashing and the back and forth and the anger that they're just, all right, look, we're used to him. We may vote for him for another 4 years. That's partially fatigue, I think.
I think you, unfortunately, may be right, yeah.
And it's also the fact that, we don't, as terrible as things have been, we're not in the middle of a big war, and the economy, so we concentrate on all the stupid things he says and all the dumb things he does, while at the same time life kind of goes on and we're okay.
Yeah, right now, but these things are going to have a cumulative effect. I mean, the deficit that he just built up, and Republicans are going to come by and say, well, we got this deficit, we can't have the deficit, so we're going to have to get rid of entitlements. So it's the prelude right now, and with dumping coal ash into streams in West Virginia, well, that's up to West Virginia, but still.
That's how West Virginia
think
makes Kool-Aid. Come on,
Coal-ash Kool-Aid. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. But also, let's roll it back a little. A whole bunch. Let's roll it back. When did you realize that you could amuse people, that you were funny? Were you like 5 years old?
You know what, Rabbi? What happened was I got a brother who was developmentally disabled. We used to call him mentally retarded, but Marky, my brother. Mm. So he couldn't speak. He couldn't understand. Couldn't vocalize. I mean, he could laugh and point, and he's one of the most darling kids you ever. And he's a kid. He's 2 years younger than I am, so he's in his 60s. But Marky, the currency in our family was making Marky laugh. If you could make Marky laugh, he would feel part of the family, and we were all one. So that was the currency around the kitchen table and we all made Marky laugh, and we did it through vocal tricks, and my dad was hysterical, and my mom was very funny and an artist, and so we just started. That was an everyday thing,
Wow. And let me ask you, at some point you decided to take it more professionally and seriously. What do you remember learning from being with Paul Sills and those improv-y and sketch-type people?
He taught me to work at the top of my brain, to never underestimate the audience, always be as smart as you can on stage.
No, that's you're talking about, because quite honestly, like if you roll back 40 years and then Steve Martin at the height of his fame when he was playing arenas, he basically had to tailor his material to 50,000 Markies in the audience. Put on a little bunny ears, and he's a brilliant
but you got to remember what a cultural shift that was, because during after Kennedy was assassinated, and then Vietnam, and comedy kind of died there for a while, and you weren't allowed to be, there was the politically correct police, and you had to, in order to be a comic, and Carlin and Pryor, and you gotta say something, and then Steve Martin made Goofy funny again, he and Robin Williams.
Well, in terms of influences on you, it's kind of obvious, or maybe too obvious to say Mort Saul was number one, but maybe it was Jackie Mason or Lenny Bruce. Whom did you look up to?
Leonard Albert Schneider, I think he was number one.
That's Lenny Bruce, right?
Yeah.
Because?
Just because of, I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with the whole martyr thing,
Because
and also his material was so literate and cinematic. I mean, he had all those little movie parodies he would do, and it was just, and he was the smartest and bravest, and especially the what was it, Live at the Curran, or was it Berkeley? But a couple of his albums, his live albums were just, or the one at Carnegie, the one that was a midnight concert at Carnegie with the snowstorm.
Okay. Because I've always found that to be the problem with Lenny Bruce, is that we lionize him, and kind of all the shots that he took for the team in terms of being able to speak what we want to speak as humorists. But at the same time, the recorded material that you see of him on TV or some of the albums, you sit there and you listen, and you say, well, I guess this was funny for 1957, but... ... No, as opposed to the Carlin albums from the 1970s, that you play them for someone who's never heard them, and they're absolutely on the floor hysterical, Those I think have aged...
It's Daniel Boone versus, the guy who... think of what it was like before Lenny Bruce. It was mother-in-law jokes. It was airplane food jokes. So, Carlin had a much larger pathway because the machete had already been used in the jungle,
True. Very, very true indeed. So, did you ever, by the way, see Bruce live? You're old.
No.
Okay.
No.
So...
he died in 1966. I was 12.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I guess my math was off on that. Were there any comedians legends that you have seen?
I was at Summerfest when George Carlin got busted for saying the 7 words.
Oh.
That was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
And was that a moment that
Outdoor
galvanized...
concert.
I'm sorry, but was that a moment that galvanized you as a comedian? Of like, this brave guy, I'm going to do that.
No, I wasn't a comic yet, but I wanted to be a comic. My mother says that when I was 6 years old, I asked her where I could go to school to become a stand-up comic. And I would stay up and watch all the comics on The Tonight Show and, Midwest. It was an hour earlier, so I had a better shot at it. And then I studied theater and journalism and film in school, so I kind of triangulated it. And, because I wrote my own stuff, and I had been on stage, so I wasn't freaked out because of that.
Yeah.
And theater, I knew a little bit about walking around the stage, and film. So when I started doing stand-up, I was already pretty good because my material was, I don't know, I used to write a humor column for the local underground newspaper in Milwaukee, so I had an idea of what jokes were like.
Well,
I'm still a writer who performs. I'm not a pure stand-up like some guys I know, Greg Proops and Bobby Slayton and stuff.
Well, they would still do clubs, and you do theaters for that specific way. The nice thing about theater is not every joke has to land. Because it's like, it's not a comedy club. That didn't really have to be funny. That's just setting up some funny stuff 5 minutes from now. Whereas
No, that's not me. I'm funny. Everything is funny. Every line is funny. Every line is a setup. That's one of my problems is there's too many jokes that I wear the audience out.
What a terrible problem to have.
No, it is, man, when you're doing 90 minutes and they start wilting after 35 because you've told so many jokes and put so much pressure on them to follow along. Yeah, it is a bitch.
But even the master comedians, they know that you have these peaks and valleys, and if you get them laughing hysterically in the first 15 minutes, it's just fatigue. We keep you coming back to that word. You kind of have to do a downslope in some of the lesser material, then you bring them back up for a bit, and then you got to close really strong. That's...
Lesser material? What are you talking about, lesser material? You're talking about judging your children? No. They're all equally wonderful in their own way.
Speaking of children, I'm just curious about this, and I'm sorry to ask, but I figure our audience is, and your family and all that. Are you in any way related to either the Durst organization or the crazy, the woman killer, Durst?
Cousin Bobby? No. No, we're not related to Cousin Bobby or his father Seymour, who owns most of Times Square. Alas.
Yeah, right. That would be. Then you would have your own string of theaters, and it would be fantastic. But,
yeah, I'd be taking this on the road.
Exactly. Hey, let me also ask, though, by the way, I want to remind people, we're talking to Will Durst, not of the Durst family, and not of the Durst murderers. He's just the Durst, the blogger, the comedian, the satirist, the radio host, and the guy that you can go see November 7th through the 18th at the Playroom Theater in Midtown Manhattan. It's West 46th Street near 6th Avenue. For more information about him and all the stuff that he's recorded and that you can read, and his blog and the comic strip thing, it's willdurst.com. Will, D-U-R-S-T, willdurst.com. So, you've been on television a million times. Did you ever try for that brass ring of, the sitcom, the funny next-door neighbor thing, or that was just never in the cards?
Wasn't a focus, no. I did have a show on A&E, when A&E was the comedy Nazi channel. I don't know if you remember those days.
No,
it is.
no.
Like 94, and we did a show called A Year's Worth with Will Durst, and we were going to turn it into a week's worth with Will Durst, and we were nominated for a Cable Ace. It was a pretty good show, and that's when A&E decided to get out of the comedy business.
Oh, that's right. You did this Ace show. You got an award, and they canceled your show. Amazing. How do you bounce back from setbacks like that?
You know what I do? I watched Duck Soup.
Best Marx Brothers, well, easily the best Marx Brothers movie, but maybe the top 3 comedy ever made.
I think so too. This is what happened. I had a gig down in L.A. I was going to be on this TV show with Louis Anderson, and I was going to resuscitate my national televised career. And they called up the day before it aired. It was supposed to tape, and said, "We're going in a different direction." And I had bought my ticket to go to L.A. and reserved a room, and it was all set up. And man, I was so depressed. And I put in Duck Soup. Because I own it, I think 2 copies of it. I put in Duck Soup, and
and there it is.
I was fine. 2 hours later, wasn't fine, but the edge was off. I put the knife down.
That's. I mean, that's literally the moment in the Woody Allen movie. I think it was not Hannah and Her Sisters, but the one that came after, where he's all depressed and suicidal. And what does he go to see? He goes to see Duck Soup in the movies.
Oh, I thought it was Sorrow in the Pity.
That was Annie Hall, and they missed the first minute of it. And you don't walk into a movie when the first minute's over. It just ruins the whole experience.
That's right. Good one, Rabbi.
Now, do you sitting home and do you watch people like Colbert and Bill Maher and John Oliver?
Oh, I don't. I can't. I'm a sponge, and I'm the kind of guy that I'll see something incredibly funny, and unless I mark it as somebody else's, it may just ooze into my subconscious and gurgle up later. I can't watch any of those shows.
That makes total sense. Also, since it's so topical there, that you're gonna
exactly. That's the other thing that happens is, they'll hit on the exact same subject that I'm working on with a similar line, and now I have the dilemma: do I go out on stage with this line, even though I know I wrote it, or am I? Because I approach it different. If I worry that the audience might think I took it from somewhere else, and I don't have the same kind of confidence, so it's just better for me not to know.
Are there 1 or 2 or 3 jokes that you've written over, 30, 40 years now, that are your absolute treasured favorite gems?
You know what? Eyes are always focused forward, and once in a while, a friend of mine will come up. I used to do a joke about Clinton. No matter what you thought of his policies, you had to admire his ability not to get involved in them. And I thought it was a pretty good joke, and I totally forgot about it. And a friend of mine, also a political comedian, also in the Bay Area, his name is Nato Green. Very funny young man, very funny. He actually wrote on the W. Kamau Bell show, Unbiased, totally unbiased.
Yeah.
So he was in New York for a long time. But he told me, you should do that with Obama, and I did, and it worked out. But no, I don't. I just keep going forward.
Well, is it okay to recycle jokes for new people? Like you can take Nixon jokes, or certainly George W. Bush jokes, and refashion them for Trump. If you talk about the mutilated Saudi Arabian journalist guy, there's probably someone who was killed in an embassy 25 years ago. You make a joke about it. Do you go poking through the archives?
That's a great thing about surviving so long is you can rip yourself off. Yeah, go through old notebooks. I did a joke about Bush, and the joke was George Bush is a Wheel of Fortune president in a Jeopardy world.
Oh.
So I changed that for Trump, and I used to say George Bush was a Wheel of Fortune president in a Jeopardy world, but this guy is shoots and ladders.
And it works. You just tinker with it a little bit, and it still goes.
Yeah.
Now, did you learn anything? I read somewhere that back in the day, you ran for mayor of San Francisco?
Yeah, it was kind of a publicity stunt, I figured.
It was like a Pat Paulson thing more than a real thing?
Yeah. But then I would go to those candidate forums and be a member of the candidate forums, and the little old ladies would get pissed at me when they realized that I was making a mockery of the whole thing. So then I started taking it serious, and some of the candidates, I got 2% of the vote. I came in 4th out of 11.
Oh, hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's I wish our football team at the local university was that good. Let me tell you, not too terrible. All right. And can I also ask that some of your podcasts and some of the things you do involve a woman? Ooh. Now, I am helped all the time. My darling and adorable wife. We have 21 and a half beautiful children together. So your wife is very helpful to you.
My wife is much funnier than I am, which pisses me off not less than somewhat. She's an improviser, though. She doesn't do stand-up. And we work together 3 or 4 times a year. At the end of the year, we do a big tour of the Bay Area called the Big Fat Year-End Kiss-Off Comedy Show. And it's her and her partner. She does improv with a partner. Deb and Mike, they're called. And then we have another headliner from town here named Johnny Steele and Mari Magaloni and Arthur Gauss. And we hit like 10 different cities in 10 days starting the day after Christmas. And then we go on vacation.
Wow, that sounds like a tremendous amount of fun. But don't you do podcasts and things with her more often? Or you say you literally work together only 4 times a year?
Oh, we used to do a little TV show. It was called Phil and Linda's Dog Show, starring Will and Debbie as Ed and Kathy. And it was a little cable access show, and I think we did a couple of years. I think there's like 50 episodes, and I've been trying to put that up on the web.
Yeah, please do. But please put it at WillDurst.com, where people can read all the things. You've got a vault there of all your older stuff, plus, of course, the new blog and the podcast and the things that you do. Why else should people surf WillDurst.com?
Oh, I don't know. I do have a cautionary note to inject, and that's there's a warning about my little show about the Durst case scenario, Midterm Madness, at the little playroom theater, November 7th through 18th. Tickets available at Eventbrite. But I do have a warning, and the warning is, if you think the current occupant of the Oval Office is a breath of fresh air, this show is not for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you've made it clear that, he was swung left as soon as Donald Trump came into... I mean, you were already left from a union family, but you had to swing even further because you were pushed there, as it were. Hey, here's the last... I hope this doesn't turn into a dark, unfunny question, but I kind of want to go there. Since you've been a comedian for so long, and I made a little funny about... a journalist who was dismembered, and some people may be like, oh, God, how can you joke? What did you do after 9/11?
I was supposed to go to the New Orleans Comedy Festival, so I still hold Osama bin Laden responsible for, denying me a week in New Orleans. But Louis Black was supposed to come out to San Francisco, and he couldn't get out here. So I filled in for him at Cobb's Comedy Club here in San Francisco. And it was so bizarre because, it happened on a Tuesday. We skipped Wednesday. We took Wednesday off. And then we started shows on Thursday. And crowds were hungry to laugh. I mean, they really needed something. And the first 2 comics totally ignored what had gone on, and it just seemed so jarring. And I think the audience found it jarring. And I went up and I talked about the coverage mostly. That I remember I had a joke about MSNBC had a crawl at the bottom that New York City reports no unusual looting. Well, apparently it was just a normal Tuesday night load, So I did coverage, something, because everybody had watched TV for 2 days straight.
Yeah.
So we all had that shared reference, and I remember doing at least a half an hour on that.
Well, that's the thing. Is there stuff that you won't touch? If something is really horrible, is there always a way to make funny of it? Even, or maybe if you wait 48 hours at least.
My theory is you punch up, that you make fun of people who are more powerful than you. You know, it's hard for me to do jokes about people, and I don't like seeing them either. Jokes about people who are less fortunate.
Well, pretty much I'm less fortunate than everyone, so I can punch up at anybody.
Well, with 21 and a half kids.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of mouths to feed, Rabbi.
And I'm already less important than they are to my dear wife, Miriam Libby, so that's just the way it goes. But it has been... Oh, I've been punching above my weight to be able to talk to you and with.
Pshaw, Rabbi, the honor has been mine.
Oh, thank you. It's Will Durst. Everybody, please go see him in Durst Case Scenario at the Playroom Theater. It's this wonderful, intimate, like 60s, 70s. So it's not like he's going to be on a big monitor and you're watching the Rolling Stones from a million miles away. He's right there telling these jokes in front of you at the Playroom Theater on West 46th Street, November 7th through the 18th. For more information, for all the information, go to willdurst.com. It just remains for me to say that it has been so fun and so funny, and I hope you will come back to the Daverhood again for more of this, because it's just been great.
I had a wonderful time. This has been a joy, Rabbi. Thank you so much for letting me play your little reindeer games.
Oh, and thank you. Well, that's a little too much of a Goyish reference right there, but we'll accept it. From Will Durst, shalom to you.
Shalom, Rabbi.
Will Durst, very, very funny guy, as I'm sure you've heard. Even funnier if you go see him on stage coming up, starting on November 7th, playing through November 18th off Broadway in New York. Will Durst. Let's see if I have a website. Do I have the website down there? Well, Durst Case Scenario is the name of the show. It's at the Playroom Theater over on West 46th Street. I wish I were back in New York so I could go see it, because I know he's really, really funny. And I thank him for being on the show. And I thank, of course, Rabbi Sol Solomon for doing that interview. It's always great to have Rabbi Sol on. He's been here since our very first episode, 16 plus years ago, back when we were on Long Island commercial radio at 11 o'clock Sunday night. We started back on October 6th of 2002, and here we are, 671 plus episodes later. We're not through with our 672nd because we still have more to do. My goodness, we still have Dave's Big Dick Shinary, where I'll be talking about the word translation, and also we'll go through our friends of the Daverhood. Do we have anything else to do beyond that? And story time. We're going to get to that in just a couple of minutes and feed the otters. But before we do any of that, we also like to get kind of cultural here. I know we have a Broadway segment, of course, and we just talked to a person who's going to be off Broadway, so we have talk a bit about movies sometimes, a lot about the theater, but there's other arts as well. For example, there's poetry. And every week we like to do a little poem, a short one, a limerick, which is 5 lines, and some of the lines rhyme with others of the lines. It's a limerick, and it's a Colorado limerick, and a Colorado limerick of the damned, because we make a limerick that is evil and raunchy and bad and naughty and fun. We call it the Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
You're the poetry man.
A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme, and likewise verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick.
Rocky Mountain, Colorado, Colorado.
Yes, indeed. Rocky Mountain limericks, because a couple of months ago now, I came up with a limerick about one town in Colorado, and then another one, and suddenly they just multiplied. Suddenly it was like, ooh, I can do a bunch of these, and I ended up doing them, and they are really, if you have children, this is probably not the time for them to be in the room, because traditionally, limericks do have a raunchy-ish side to them, either a raunchy punchline or an overall, there was a young girl from Nantucket sort of idea. Well, there's no Nantucket in Colorado, but we've got other places, including today's special town. It is Center, Colorado. Who knew? Who knew there's a place called Center in Colorado? It's not in the center of Colorado, actually. It's pretty south. As a matter of fact, it's 3.5 hours south drive of Denver. It's a statutory town, whatever that means, with about 2,000 plus people in it, whose median income is about $23,000. So not exactly a booming metropolis is Center, Colorado, but maybe this will put them on the map. Maybe having a poem dedicated to Center, Colorado will help bring this town into the consciousness of America. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado or don't, here is this week's Colorado Limerick of the Damned about Center, Colorado. A frustrated fellow from Center, whose girlfriend would not let him enter, one day with a grin just bashed her face in and laughed at her just to torment her. That's our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, ladies and gentlemen, for today, November 3rd, 2018, here in the Daverhood on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio program of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz. Always thrilled to be here. Remember to tell your friends to check out all the archives. They're free at davesgoneby.com. Our very first episode and the episode we did 2 weeks ago. And if you wait a day, this episode will be up there, both some video as well as our audio, since we're essentially still a radio show / podcast. It's just that it's kind of fun to have the video component as well. But all of this, hundreds of episodes, are at davesgoneby.com. Even our interviews that we've done, the hundreds of interviews, they're there too. We've separated them as well. There's a separate archive just of the interviews themselves, if you don't want to have to go through the whole show to listen to some famous person that you're interested in. It's all there at davesgoneby.com. Please do give that a look. Well, as I said, we'll be looking shortly at Dave's Big Dictionary and the word translation, But before then, you can bring the kids back into the room, take off their blindfolds and the duct tape around their legs and wrists, because it's story time. It's time to actually let another writer do the work, really. That's how this really all started. I found a book in a gas station or a service station that I couldn't resist. And I brought it in, I started reading it on the air, and we did it for weeks, and people liked that segment almost more than any other on the show. And now we've been doing some other books. We've been doing Vegetable Friends. We did the Bill Cosby book, Little Bill, a couple of weeks ago. We had one about a chicken that was really great, and then there was another that we were doing, one of my all-time favorites, My Sheriff Goes Over Weather and Farm Safety, featuring Casey the Canine. Yeah, we had great fun with that one. But today, we start a brand new one for you animal lovers out there on StoryTime.
Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story. Remember what you said. You promised me, you said you would. You gotta give in, so I'll be good. Tell me a story, then I'll go to bed.
I will be telling you a story, and one that I didn't even have to write, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, from what series is this? It's some sort of Rigby On Our Way to English series. No idea what this has to do with the book, except Rigby's like sort of a cute sheep llama creature of some kind. The book today, Feeding the Otters by Faye Robinson. We're going to feed the otters, and as my wife pointed out, it's a really not the best cover in the world. You can barely see the little otter down there. And then, for no particular reason, this man has framed his crotch. Let me pull that up a little further. Yes, he's behind the feeding glass and about to feed the otter, but doesn't it look like he is putting a frame and highlighting his shorts and what's behind them? I just don't know. I don't want to know. But what I want to know is what is in this book. If I can just open the damn book. Here we go, which used to belong to someone named L. Judy. There we go. So we've taken it from her. Feeding the Otters by Faye Robinson, which involves 2 cups of cat food, 1 pound of chopped meat, and 3 frozen fish. Disgusting. Let's get to it, shall we? This is from Rigby Publishing. So that's why, that Rigby thing is the Rigby publisher. Okay, here we go. Here's our friend. Here's Laszlo. Let's say hi to Laszlo. He's the guy wearing those shorts that he was showing off. Nice little black t-shirts there. He's Laszlo. It's about late in the day. He's getting dinner ready for the Otters at his table. Let's learn a little about Laszlo and his Otters. This is Laszlo. He's a zookeeper in Chicago. Laszlo takes care of the animals. Doesn't mention sexually. I'm assuming it's just food. Laszlo prepares the food for many small animals. Every type of animal eats something different, and Laszlo knows how to make all the meals. Now he will make the food for the Otters. And it's kind of cool. He has this old-fashioned, remember a recipe box or a recipe drawer? And if you notice, this one has otter food. Yes, indeed. And behind there is pies for Thanksgiving, and in front of that is some delicious pastries for Hanukkah. But he's got an otter food in his little, an actual otter box is what that is, as opposed to these other things that people claim are otter boxes. So, what else is Laszlo up to? Here are the river otters. Everybody wants to see them. Look at them. Look at them, how cute. Except, what the hell's... He's all wet, and this one looks like he's... I can't even see him. It's like his teeth are scowling or something. And he's bearing... Because otters can be nasty, right? Otters, you think they're adorable, they're playful, and then you get near one of them, and it'll rip your head off. So, there's an otter, there's another little otter. Oh, we two of them. Yeah. So that way you can admire one or the otter. Okay. Anyway. Here are the river otters. They are best friends. They spend a lot of time playing together, and they often swim side by side. All that playing and swimming makes them hungry. Otters eat fish if they live near rivers, but this is a zoo, and there aren't any fish swimming in the water. What do zoo otters eat? McDonald's, Arby's, Burger King. Sometimes they'll hit Chipotle if they're in the mood for Mexican. But no. So we got otters swimming and doing their other thing. And let's see. Now we've got, here comes Laszlo, who, by the way, is married. He's kind of a good-looking guy, even though he's showing off the goods in that frame. So we've got a little ring on that finger there. There's Laszlo preparing the otter food. He's getting ready to make otter food in, one hopes, the zoo kitchen, not at his home. Here's what Laszlo needs to make otter food every day. 2 cups of cat food, a half a pound of chopped meat, and 3 frozen fish. If otters eat fish in nature, why don't zookeepers feed just fish to the otters? Now that's a great question. That's actually a very legitimate question. Why is that? Well, in a zoo, it's not possible to keep enough fresh fish to feed otters every day. Really? That is why zookeepers need to freeze the fish. Frozen fish isn't as healthful as fresh fish, so Laszlo adds cat food and meat to the frozen fish to help the otters have a healthy diet. Who knew? So if, let's say, a zoo were able to get fresh fish every day, they wouldn't have to add all these additives and stuff. They wouldn't have to add chopped meat. It's basically fish helper. If he's adding chopped meat, we add hamburger helper to chopped meat to make it, make it go further. This guy is adding meat to fish to make the fish go further and give it extra nutrients. This is fascinating stuff. I know it's not that funny, but I find it incredibly fascinating. Okay, more with Laszlo. First, here's what Laszlo's doing. Okay? He is measuring and weighing what he needs to make the otter's food. He uses a cup to measure the cat food and a scale to weigh the meat. He counts the fish that he needs, and then, good, he mixes everything together. I don't know if you buy on QVC, but they have these marvelous blenders that are specifically for otter food making, and they're currently $158, available in 4 installment payments on QVC with free shipping. So there you go. If you need your otter blender / food maker and your mixer, it comes in white, topaz, and pearl. I just heard that they're out of the coral. So there's no more coral, but they have about 500 of the white left if you want your otter maker today. Just saying. Next, Laszlo must divide the meals because the otters eat at 10:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 4 o'clock p.m. They don't really have a chance to digest breakfast because they're eating a late breakfast. Maybe they sleep late, 10:30 in the morning, and then just 2.5 hours later, time for more of that meat and fish. And then they have a 3-hour break before dinner. That means that each otter eats 3 meals a day. Laszlo must prepare 6 meals because there are 2 otters. So here are the otter bowls. So I guess that's interesting. I would have thought they just tossed them the fish meat substance, but that would really gunk up the water. So I guess the otters will have been trained to eat out of bowls? Or maybe he just brings them to them and dumps it in. Let's find out. Oh, man. Here we go. Take a look at this. That's yummy, ain't it? That's otter loaf. That's fish and meat and cat food. What poor senior wouldn't want to be eating that, ladies and gentlemen? Just look at it. Nauseous. There's otter food for you. Each otter eats about 1/3 of a pound of food at each meal. Laszlo weighs the food on the scale and puts each meal into one of the 6 bowls. Then he puts the bowls in the refrigerator to keep the food fresh. And now see, he's distributing that delicious meal into the otter bowls. And by the way, you can get those otter bowls on HLN. They've got the sun yellow, they've got the lipstick red, and they still have some of the burnt sienna brown if you want them. So again, do check your home shopping. Well, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's time to eat. The otters swim around looking for a zookeeper with food because they know it's mealtime. And then they see Laszlo. Zoom! Both otters climb up the wall, trying to reach him. Laszlo takes a small chunk of food from one otter's bowl and tosses it to her. He does the same for the other otter. Okay, so there they are. They're the two little otters. We could get better close-ups of these guys, but no, it's more about Laszlo and his crotch behind the frame, and there he is feeding them. It's the same, essentially the same picture as the cover, but his head is a little different position there. See, there he's looking down at his penis, and now he's kind of looking over at his arm, measuring perhaps the size of the penis to the size of the frame. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, Laszlo tosses food to each otter until the bowls are empty. And when the otters see that Laszlo has no more food, they search around for crumbs. Now Laszlo goes back to the food room to prepare more animal meals. He has so many more animals to feed. See you tomorrow, otters, says Laszlo. And look, he's got a great big smile, because basically he's done with them. Now he gets to go feed the lions and the tigers and bears, oh my, and the snakes, and get them some mice. So happy, waving, smiling Laszlo finished feeding the otters. This has been a Level J guided reading book on our way to English, Feeding the Otters. 2004 is the copyright date by Rigby Books, which is located in Barrington, Illinois. For more information, go to rigby.com if they still exist. Faye Robinson wrote the text. Photo credits are by Rob Gregg Studios. Except on page 4. I know you were wondering about this, but the picture on page 4 of the otters eating fish, over there, that disgusting one where they're chomping and chewing fish and you can't really even see their mouths. That photo is credited to Gunther Zeisler and Peter Arnold, Inc. I know you were all wondering about that. And, of course, this book, like everything else, was printed in China. Feeding the Otters by Faye Robinson. Oh, what a fun time we've had. Here on Dave's Gone By, that was Storytime in the Daverhood. I've got another one planned for next week, a little higher level story. And I'm doing a lot of children's-y books. We'll have something a little more grown up next week here on Dave's Gone By. But no, don't go away. We're not done. We're not through with this episode of Dave's Gone By, our 672nd live on this Saturday, November 3rd, 2018. We've been calling this one our Durst episode ever in honor of our guest, Will Durst. We thank him so much for being in the Daverhood. He is now considered a friend of the Daverhood, which means that we'll keep tabs on him. We'll let you know what he's up to, because we've been proud to have him on the show. And so, as the months and years progress, we'll let you know if he comes back to New York, if he comes to Colorado, if he releases an album of some kind, or if he's on TV. And we do that with so many of our guests, of our friends of the Daverhood. So yeah, in our Friends of the Daverhood segment, basically, the idea is to let you know what people who've been on the show in the past are up to in the present. For example, gotta give a get well, a big get well soon to, I guess we call like a refuah shlema, to our friend Rusty Warren, the comedian, the one who did Bouncer Boobies all those years ago. She was a guest on the show a few years back. She's been having some medical issues, but she seems to be getting better. And I think she's come out of the hospital, getting back home and getting back to her old self. So congratulations to Rusty Warren and continued better health to her. Also want to send congratulations to the actress and singer Brooke Morriber. Her debut album, Cry Like a Girl, came out on Bantwango Records this past Thursday, November 1st. So big mazel tov to her, to Brooke Morriber. Also want to let you know that now through today, no, we didn't mention this before, Robert Calfin, the director, he is directing an off-Broadway show called My Parsifal Conductor at the Marjorie Dean Theater on West 63rd Street. You have just tonight to catch it at the end of the run. Want to let you know also that tomorrow, writer John K. Hartman gets inducted into the Central Michigan University Journalism Hall of Fame. So mazel tov on that. Sunday, tomorrow, Donna McKechnie is going to be, among other people, at the Theater Resources Unlimited benefit, which will be honoring Byork Lee. She was from the choreographer of Chorus Line, unless I'm mistaken. That is happening at Caroline's on Broadway tomorrow, Sunday. And then on Monday, November 5th, the record company PS Classics will release a song cycle called Will He Like Me? An LGBT song cycle from our friend Philip Chaffin. And unless I'm mistaken, what they're doing is they're taking songs that are traditionally sung by women, theater songs and Tin Pan Alley pop classics or classics of the day, and sung by a guy, and put a spin like that on them. So it's Will He Like Me from PS Classics and our friend Philip Chaffin. Oh, I even have a quote on this. They're Broadway evergreens and forgotten gems from a gay man's perspective. For example, how many men have you ever heard sing When I Marry Mr. Snow from Carousel? Well, Philip Chaffin does. Anyway, let's see. On this Monday, Martin Charnin at 2 o'clock in the afternoon will host a celebration of the late book writer for Broadway, Thomas Meehan, that is happening at the St. James Theater on Broadway. It is open to the public. And then on Tuesday, speaking of people who have passed, Michael Friedman, who was a talented composer and lyricist, his State of the Union songbook, people are going to be singing his tunes. Among the folks who will be there are our friend, the songstress Jill Sabule. That will be happening at the Green Room 42. I'm pretty sure that's on 42nd Street. Find out more at thegreenroom42.com. And by the way, Jill Sabule has a fine new album out. I've been listening to it. It's really good. And we may hear a bit more from Jill Sabule in the weeks to come. Stay tuned. Will Durst, we mentioned, of course, is going to be at the Playroom with Durst Case Scenario. That's starting on November 7th and running through the 18th. Now through, I keep mentioning that this has been extended. No, I'm reading the wrong thing. Sorry. But now through November 9th, so next weekend, J.O. Sanders, we mentioned him early in the show. He is directing Galinsky, another friend of ours, in a show called The Bench. That is at the Hudson Guild Theater in Santa Monica. We have a Hudson Guild Theater in New York. This one is on the other coast in Los Angeles. The Bench played off Broadway for several months in New York, kept getting extended here. Now they've moved it to LA for a short run, The Bench, with Galinsky and directed by J.O. Sanders. Both of them friends of the Daverhood. Want to remind you that now through next weekend, Stevie Holland is doing Love Linda at the Triad Theater in New York up on West 72nd Street. And hey, let's do something local in Arvada, Colorado, reminding you that Educating Rita is being directed by Lynn Collins. She is the artistic director of the Arvada Center, and she's doing it at the Arvada Center in Colorado. It's about an hour's drive southwest of Greeley. Let's see, on November 12th, Seth Rudetsky will be accompanying Audra McDonald at Town Hall in Midtown Manhattan. Playing now through the middle of November, Inner Voices, which is a bunch of different solo musicals. Among them will be a show called Scaffolding, which stars our friend Rebecca Luker. That is at the TGB Theater on West 36th Street through mid-November. Also through mid-November, this is the one I was going to mention, the Uncle Vanya with J.O. Sanders, translated and directed by our other friend Richard Nelson. That is at Hunter College, playing Uncle Vanya. Now through towards the, end of January, and London, at the Olivier Theater, before it comes to Broadway, a show called Hadestown. Ooh, just perfect for Halloween times. Hadestown features our friend Andre de Shields in this musical that has Broadway aspirations. If you're in London, go check it out. Now, through the middle of December, it's the return of Junie B. Jones the Musical. Actually, it was playing off-Broadway. Now they're doing a separate production at the Black Box Performing Arts Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, and that young adults musical is by Marcy Heisler and Zena Goldrich, our friends of the Daverhood. Sheldon Harnick, one of the absolute legends of musical theater, he's a friend of the Daverhood. They're doing Fiddler on the Roof in Yiddish by the National Yiddish Theater. That is off-Broadway. And the musical director is our friend Zalman Mlatek. That's playing all the way to the end of the year. Playing through mid-January on Broadway, it's School of Rock, co-written by Glenn Slater. The Band's Visit, well, we mentioned that one. That's by David Yazbek. It's on sale to February of 2019, but technically in an open run. Come From Away on Broadway, Irene Sankoff and David Hines' wonderful musical at the Schoenfeld Theater. And La Chance is playing one of the Donnas in Summer, the Donna Summer musical at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater. Daniel Breaker is still playing Aaron Burr and Hamilton. I tried the lottery. I did. They have a lottery for Hamilton where the tickets are really cheap, and you do it online. You don't have to stand on the box office or anything. I tried for a couple of days. No luck. So old Dave still hasn't seen Hamilton, but if I were, and if you can get tickets, currently Daniel Breaker is playing Aaron Burr. And my gosh, Breaker was on the show literally a decade ago on one of our Tony shows. Want to give a shout out to Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake, who do the theater review program Two on the Aisle on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. And on that same network, you can see Eva Heineman and her theater review show, High Drama. Going to give a shout out to my friend Evan Seplow. I didn't get to see him when I was in New York, alas, but he's a great guy, and he has a terrific New York nightlife website called StageBuddy.com. Shout out to my friend, my acquaintance who's been on the show a couple of times, Dr. Demento. Still doing Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com. And finally, to a guy I could have seen in New York, but I was there on the wrong day, Bob Cudmore, still doing podcasts about upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. All right, well, it is about 4 minutes after 12 Mountain Time here in Greeley, Colorado, at the University of Northern Colorado, where this office is, and I do this weekly program, Dave's Gone By, Saturday mornings from 9 to noon Mountain Time, 11 to 2 Eastern Time, here in what I call the Daverhood. It's our 672nd episode. We've been calling it Durst Episode Ever. We're almost done, but not quite, because as promised, and I do like to keep my promises on the air, we have one more segment for you, and it has to do with a word. All the way back in the beginning of the show, my wife took this dictionary, the Merriam-Webster Pocket kind of dictionary, new edition, America's best-selling, with more than 75,000 definitions in it. She randomly thumbed through it and took, not her thumb, but probably her index finger, and completely at random, picked a word. And then my job is to try and think of stuff to talk about for 5 minutes or so about that word. Some anecdote from my life, some story, whatever that word calls up in my mind, just to blather about it for a little bit. Well, the word she came up with...
Extra, tell all about it. It's Dave's Big Dictionary.
So today on Dave's Big Dictionary, the word that my darling and adorable wife Joyce came up with at complete random is translation. Translation. Gonna find it. Let's see. I should have enough light where I don't need glasses to read it. I hope. This could get interesting, folks. Here's translation. It's a noun, of course. An act, process, or instance of translating. Well, that's really friggin' helpful. The process of forming a protein molecule from information in messenger RNA. Well, you knew that. But it comes, of course, from the word translate, to change from one place, state, or form to another, to convey to heaven without death. To turn into one's own or another language. That's weird. Isn't that interesting? That is interesting that the definitions in this dictionary, the one that we would find most common is number 3. It's like the idea of translating one language into another is actually less important, I guess, to this dictionary than the one of being translated without dying from one mode of being to another. Anyway, that's not the mode I'm going to use it in. Translation. So what are my thoughts on that word? I've seen the movie Lost in Translation. Thought it was pretty good. Scarlett Johansson was cute. Bill Murray is great. Not much to say about that. I do have 2 stories about translation, though. One of which, I don't know how interesting it is, but it was kind of cool that when I went for my master's degree, the first one, back at NYU, back in 1985. So I graduated, or I guess from 84. I was graduating from NYU undergrad in film and TV, did all my credits, and then they made it very convenient and easy for me to stay in and get my master's there. I was doing film and TV stuff. And, they waived certain credits I had already taken, and they figured, hey, if you keep on doing the master's, you can get her done without taking full course load for 2 years. It would be closer to a year and a half. So fine, great. But the one thing I had to do was a language requirement. Now, I had taken AP Spanish in high school. I was actually pretty good. I was one of the best in my high school in Spanish. And I've talked about this before, that I felt really, really, hoity-toity and proud of myself. I'm good with languages. And I was getting 90s and 100s on all the tests and quizzes in Spanish in high school. And then my wife and I were invited to Argentina many years ago. And I found out just how paltry and useless my high school Spanish was, and how little I actually understood, how little, if somebody was talking to me in fast Spanish, and especially Argentine Spanish, which is not textbook, ULET high school Spanish, just how little I actually knew or could use or facilitate, and they'd be taking me to the theater, where everybody spoke in Spanish, expecting me to have a sense of what's going on. And I'm just hearing, and I catch a word. It's like, oh, there's a word. And barely even get the gist of what was going on in a 2-hour show. So, but still, coming out of high school, I felt like hot shit, because I took AP Spanish, I did really well in it, no problem, and it typed me, and it kept me out of having to do a Spanish language in college, or I was able to replace it with an English, do English as a language kind of thing in college. I don't recall. But when I went for a master's in writing, in playwriting and screenwriting, suddenly that cropped up again. this idea of, oh, you need a language requirement as part of humanities. It's one of the things you have to do. So they said, you've got to take a class. I could have done it. They said, or you could type out of it, you can test out of it, and then take another class more directly related to what you actually want to do. So I said, hey, let me take the test. I have nothing to lose. I don't think the test cost much money, or if any. I'll take it. If I pass, I don't have to worry about the requirement. And if I fail, I'll take another Spanish class, or maybe I'll try French or something like that. So I take the test, quote unquote. And it's not even oral. It's a written test in front of you, and what you had to do was translate back Spanish to English. So it had to test your comprehension of written Spanish. If it had been an oral test, if I had to speak to someone for 10 minutes in Spanish, I would have failed. That would put me right back in elementary, like, hola, me llamo David, ¿cómo te llamas? Oh, it's like, forget it. But written Spanish, which you're much more comfortable with, so they give me like 5 or 6 paragraphs of something to translate. And I just remember going along like gangbusters and having very little problem. And I do have a facility with language, and I wanted to prove myself so that as I'm reading it, I realize, oh, I can do this. I actually do know what this is. And I would put it very specifically in idiomatic, very conversational English, as opposed to, I'm sure some people who took the test were trying to do like word by word by word in a very kind of stultifying, grammatically perfect English translation. And I'm just going, oh, this is basically saying this. Let me translate that, since I know what it means, into conversational English. And I just remember the one thing that I thought would make me fail. Because I got about 3/4 of the way through this article, through this piece that I was reading, and it got to an idiom that I had never heard of. And I knew it wasn't a direct translational thing. I don't think I was allowed to have a Spanish dictionary with me, but somehow I seem to remember that you were even allowed that you could thumb through and have a Spanish dictionary. I don't recall. But either way, it was useless. And then I just came across this sentence, and I remember spending 10 minutes on it, because I had a lot of time. I was breezing through this, and just wondering and trying to look for root words of Latin and all the other words around it. And I just knew that it's not just a translation of a word. This is some kind of idiom in Spanish that is translated weirdly into English, and I just fudged it. I don't know what I wrote for that sentence, and then I kind of dribbled off, and I went from being like, hey, I'm pretty good in Spanish, I'm doing this, I'm gonna ace this, to going like, I'm lost, and then just trying to finish out, ignominiously slouching out of the room going, oh well, we'll see. I never know exactly what the grade was that I got on the test, but I did well enough to type out, to pass, and not to have to take a language class as part of my master's program for that degree. So that was kind of cool. I took another screenwriting class or a radio writing class or something instead, which is what I really wanted anyway. So, yay on that. But I'll never forget. I would love to have gone back. I would have loved the opportunity. I guess I could have asked for it after it had been graded weeks later to say, what the hell was that sentence? What on earth did it mean? What was the translation of it? Because I remember nothing else about that material. So there's that translation story. And then there's that other one. When I was even younger, much younger, in fact, and I was in half-a-day English, half-a-day Hebrew school. It was called Bialik School on Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn, New York. A school that no longer exists. They took it away years ago. But back in the day, it was a private school. My parents wanted to send me to a private school, A, because they were better than the public schools in Brooklyn, and B, to have a good conservative Jewish upbringing, where half the day I would have really good teachers in social studies, in math, in English, and history. And then half a day would be studies of the Bible, studies of the Jewish culture and holidays. So it was really like inculcated into me all the way through grade 7. Half a day English, have a day Hebrew. And again, I felt pretty okay about Hebrew. I could read the Bible, for gosh sakes, and the commentaries on the Bible in 5 different types of Hebrew print. There's script, then there's the weird Rashi writing without the vowels under it. Craziness, right? But I'm spending hours on this every day, week after week after week in school. So I'm feeling pretty good about my Hebrew. And then I think Mom and I were on Church Avenue in Brooklyn shopping for something, and we go into a store, and there's a store owner, and there's a guy there, probably an Orthodox fella, who spoke Hebrew and virtually no English. And the store owner, a Jewish guy, but didn't speak a word of Hebrew. And this guy just wants to buy something, doesn't know what to, etc. And now Mom and the store owner are turning to me because, hey, I'm in 6th grade, something like that, and I'm supposedly supposed to know Hebrew. I should be able to turn to this guy after all these years and go, ma rotzeh, what do you want? Talk to, I don't remember any of this beyond that. Shalom, ani David, ma rotzeh, is it ot or otai? I don't remember the feminine, the gender things. And I just remember this painful 5 minutes of this guy trying to sort of explain in broken Hebrew and mine in completely shattered Hebrew, and him trying to reach occasionally for an English word, and me and the store owner trying to throw in maybe an English word to be helpful. And somewhere he started talking about women, girl, and then sort of clothing. I can only think of the Spanish word ropa. I don't remember what the Hebrew word is for that sort of thing. But and the guy's getting more and more embarrassed until we realize, and then I think it was me, I'm not sure, or it was the store owner, and we realized that the thing he wanted to buy, the thing this poor guy who did not speak English was sent to this store to buy, was women's panties. And I'm like, I'm 10 years old, 11 years old, and I'm like, panties? And panty! We're all laughing and clapping, going panties, because it took us 10 minutes to get to this word, of all words, to come up with it. And I didn't know the word for panties in Hebrew. If I'd known the word panties in Hebrew, they probably would have put me in detention. So, and besides, I don't know if there probably came up with words for panty. It wouldn't have been in the Bible, so it wouldn't have been an original Hebrew word. It would have been a transliteration. I don't know. But anyway, he figured out the word, and then I don't think the store sold panties. I only was a clothing store, or it might have been, or they had, or I don't recall. But that was that beautiful moment of this shared, touching, cross-generational, cross-translational moment of 3 people, my mother, myself, and the store owner, just saying, panties, laughing and clapping, and panties. Yes, this man wants panties, hopefully, for his wife or daughter. Don't really know the whole story on that, because he couldn't tell us. He still spoke only Hebrew. But, yeah, once again, my translational skills, not quite what I hoped they would be. Somewhat lost in translation. Well, that was Dave's Big Dictionary for today, November 3rd, 2018, on Dave's Gone By. And as a matter of fact, that's pretty much the show. We've got a really fun one. I hope you enjoyed it. It's got to give one more shout out to our guest, our friend of the Daverhood, Will Durst. Do go see him doing his solo stand-up comedy show, Durst Case Scenario, running from November 7th through the 18th at the Playroom Theater on West 46th Street, Will Durst. And I want to thank so much Richard Hillman, the person who set up that interview with Will Durst and Rabbi Saul Solomon. Now, for more about him, well, Rabbi Saul, he's just been a friend since the very first show. He has a website, shalomdammit.com. Check it out, shalomdammit.com, DAMMIT. That is where you can have links to all the interviews he's done, Also, the link to the YouTube video of the live show, the stage show that Rabbi Saul did a few years back called Shalom Dammit, an evening with Rabbi Saul Solomon. And it's also got links to his TV show, 10 episodes that he did on Long Island TV about almost a decade ago now. So it's all there at shalomdammit.com, plus all his rabbinical reflections. You can read and hear those too. It's a great website, shalomdammit.com. And he even has a Twitter feed. He doesn't use it that much, but it's at Rabbi Saul Solomon. At Rabbi Saul Solomon. So thank you to the Rabbi. Thank you to Will Durst. Thank you to my darling, adorable, and wonderful wife, Joyce, for joining me for the first part of this program. Love her to pieces. It was tough to be away from her for part of a week while I was in New York, and so great to be back with her again. Want to let you know that upcoming, probably next week, we have an actor-director in the Daverhood. A fella, now you're going to get excited, and you should rightfully be excited, but it'll be in a different way than you expect. If I say that Tom Waits is going to be on this show, I'm like, Tom Waits, yeah, I'm excited, but it's not that Tom Waits. There's another fella named Thomas G. Waits, W-A-I-T-E-S. Thomas G. Waits. He has acted in movies like The Warriors and The Wanderers. He's done a bunch of off-Broadway stuff. He was in a one-night Broadway flop called Teaneck Tansy with Deborah Harry. It was a play about wrestling that actually took place in a wrestling rink and had people throwing each other around. Swear to God. This fella, Thomas G. Waits, was in that. He is also an acting teacher now. He teaches acting in New York, while he's also appearing on bunches of TV episodes like Law and Order and stuff like that. So he has lots of stories to tell, and he's acted with a friend of his, a little bit, maybe not a close friend, but a little more than an acquaintance, fella by the name of Al Pacino. Tons of stories for Tom Waits to tell us next week, or if not that, in a couple of weeks. We know it's all set. It's just a question of when he's coming on Dave's Gone By. And we're lining up some other really cool guests as well. So you gotta tune into our Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz, to see what's coming up on the show. And remember, you don't just please like us or follow us. Put us first. It'll say, see first, which means that whenever we go live or whenever I post something, it'll pop up first in your feed. And it's not like I bombard Facebook with stuff all week long. I post a couple of times a week at most, and especially Saturday mornings. Here we are live. In case you need to be reminded, it'll tell you, oh, Dave's on. So please, when you have where you can like and follow us, just put us first and tell your friends, tell your family. Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the Facebook page. Radio Dave Lefkowitz. DavesGoneBy.com is the archive page with photos and tons. Almost every show we've ever done is archived free there as an MP3 file that you can download or stream right on your computer. DavesGoneBy.com. Literally, at this point, thousands of hours of music and comedy and fun. How can you beat it? I don't know. Anyway, what else can I tell you? Is there anything else I need to tell you? No, except, my goodness, I started the show wearing this and having my handkerchief serve as kind of a cravat to show that I'm wearing, red, white, there's a little bit of gray in there, forget that, red, white, and blue. My goodness, folks, November 6th, make your voice count. Don't care where you are, what state of the union you're in. If you hate one side, then vote down the line the other. I'm voting Democrat, for sure. But, if you hate both sides, a plague on both their houses, I wish you wouldn't. I wish you would take into consideration that one side is mainly worse than the other. But either way, just then seal the ballot, sign it, and don't mark up anybody or do weird, ridiculous write-ins. So, just to show that you're participating in the democratic process, and if you hate everybody involved, that is a thing. You're telling them, I didn't vote for the Republican, I didn't vote for the Democrat, I didn't vote for the Independent, I voted for famous Amos the cookie guy. And I wrote in so-and-so. I wrote in people writing Mickey Mouse. Or you could write in my name. I'm 54, and I'm born in the United States, so I'm of age. I'd do the best possible job I could. I'd only steal some of the White House silverware, just because, it's tough to make a living these days. Just saying. But please, on November 6th, if you haven't already, please do your civic duty. I just said duty, and vote. And I know where we live, my parents were shocked because Mom has to vote on the 6th. She has to go to the ballot, wait online. She enjoys doing it. Whereas for years now in Colorado, we get a mail-in ballot. It came to us a month ago. I filled it out. I dropped it off two weeks ago in a slot. So literally mail it in with a 71-cent stamp. If you haven't done that yet, what is today? Today is the 3rd. Don't mail it. Go drop it off, just in case. You want it to get there in time. So either way, I'm just babbling out. Please vote, vote, vote. Vote Democrat. Please vote Democrat. Anyway, it is 12:26 in the afternoon, Mountain Time, here, 2:26 Eastern Time, in and out of the Daverhood. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to give you one more reminder to fill out that ballot and pull that lever. We hopefully will be back next Saturday, same time, for the 673rd edition of Dave's Gone By. And again, you don't want to vote for this party, you don't want to vote for that party. Ella Fitzgerald says, why don't you just vote for Mr. Rhythm and Gone By?
Vote for Mr. Rhythm, raise up your voice, and vote for Mr. Rhythm, the people's choice. You'll be happy with them, take my advice, and vote for Mr. Rhythm. I'm voting twice.
Have a great one, folks. It's great to be back home in Greeley, Colorado. Great to be back doing this program. I'll see you, hopefully, next Saturday, a week from today, with a brand new Dave's Gone By. Vote early, vote often, and gone by.